right, boom. Let's see. Let's go live. Going live. You're live. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a fresh episode of Delicious Divination. We've got Barry, Sign Waves, of course, and
Yeah, off
myself,
course.
of course. Todd on the boards as well. The dynamic duo is back. Yeah, how's it going, Barry?
Mm. It's good, man. It's been insane over here on my side. I mean, we'll run down real quick. Your energetic week, and then you know me, I can just go for days on shit. So
Sure.
we'll get into what's going on with me. But yeah, how's your
Okay.
side been, Todd?
Pretty good. I guess. I'm like, I've been getting a lot of sun this week. I can tell you, I am like ridiculously charged up. It's kind of annoying, actually, how powerful I feel.
Yeah, dude, it's been you can feel the humidity's back here in the like Ohio Valley area. It's kind of
uh,
And the sun's out. It's getting real dry. We haven't seen a ton of rain.
yeah. Well, we had that like a whole week of rain like a couple weeks ago, but yeah, it's yeah, I don't know, energetic, and the vibes. It feels like there's a lot of at least over here, the restrictions or whatever you want to call them seems to be subsiding now, and people seem to finally exhaling on that exhaustion. So that's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, I'm
Um,
seeing,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
I'm seeing that too.
Nice.
It's a little bit concerning that, like, I don't know. I mean, people, I feel like they're doing it so people can kind of get caught up in a little bit of distractions. Kind of just something to. I feel like they might be doing something behind the scenes while they let everybody go play right now.
Oh, of
One of those
course.
feelings.
Of course, yeah. It's always you gotta remember with the way the that group of people works. It's always one step forward and then two steps back. It just doesn't matter. They just keep doing it.
That's
So
that's that's true, man.
nah, I mean it's just whatever. Who cares? I don't really care. I don't consider them to have power, so we'll be good.
Right. I mean, if you're in the center, I mean, and you've got the concept of two steps forward, one step forward, two steps back. I mean, it's all just crossing back across you, back and forth. So it's really just a matter of the left and the right. And the right would be, I guess, moving forward and on the spiral in time, and left would be the densification or bringing it into matter, I guess. And that's the left and the right of the up and down, because a meridian's a meridian, right? We can chop them. Anything you chop, it's got a left and a right to it.
Hmm.
It's the first division. So actually, the circle is technically the first division, right? Because the and chaos and nothingness for the point, and then the circle around the point, which is the symbol for the sun. That would be, I guess, the first organization or division, really, right there.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
can see
man.
that. Hmm.
And that's the 10, right? I mean, if you look at that symbol, you've got that center point. That's the alpha omega right there. You've got a bird's eye view of the I, or the one. So the one and the zero, it's inside. The center point right there is that center sulfuric gas, and then the etheric gas is that outer ring. And you can pretty much see the white and the black from where that first center point stops right there. That the surface of it, that's pretty much our perspective right there on the surface of that. And then we're in this shell of whiteness right there, which is that moon sphere. So you've got the black versus the white, and that's pretty much that first symbol's the black and white monad. It's probably comes from the gray.
Hmm. I can
I
see
mean,
that.
if you think about it, where else would black and white come from? I mean, if everything kind of comes from the middle, right? I mean, it's if you've got a circle, everything comes from the 180 point. It's because the 180 point would be the straight line. If you've got a 180-degree plane, the 90-degree point would be the straight line point. So those two, the 90 and the 180, which are considered the malefics in astrology, which the 90-degree angle, the square is Mars, the 180 or opposition is Saturn.
Hmm.
So these are the two uh, that actually connect to the center. So you know how on an astrology wheel, or you're looking at like somebody's birth chart or something, and you've got all these colored lines like connecting things back and forth, and they're showing the angles between the things.
Yeah.
Well, the only lines that cross through the center are going to be oppositions and
Mm,
squares.
right, right,
So
right.
that very center circle that's in the center of a birth chart, that is really much what we are, which is everything absorbing into that center point and becoming visible and expressing all the outer ring. That point right there, the only things that have interaction right there are the 180s and the 90s, which is 270, which is pretty much the moon cycle, the 27.690723.
That makes sense. Mm,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
nice. Okay. You
Yeah,
know,
man. I don't.
another thing, and maybe we can talk about this, but I kind of think those cards we drew came sort of coming true. Between mutual betrayal, with you could see that with I don't know if this is true. I've only seen blurbs, but supposedly the Fauci guy was funding the Wuhan lab. I don't believe really any of the stuff, but like that seems to be
Right,
the
right.
reason people are like, oh, he's a bad guy now, and like everyone's treasures, which I consider that kind of the mutual betrayal, maybe. Um,
Right, right. I absolutely. I'm seeing a lot of that too. And then
hmm,
I was just checking out Zero Hedge the other day, and there was something in there involving the FBI, and we pulled the FBI card last week, so that was
right?
kind of funny. What
No
did it
way.
say? Um, fuck, I forget. It wasn't like something crazy. It was kind of just a side story, but it's probably one of those side stories you're just seeing the fruits of it right, like kind of appear right now, and it's probably going to blossom into something bigger a little later on. Some kind of FBI investigation, or FBI got caught doing this, and that, and it'll play out more later. This is just and that's kind of how astrology, really works. It shows you the birth of something, how it culminates and comes to its full expression, and then it shows its fading, or it's down to its fall, and then it's, of course, its death and rise there in the fourth position at the bottom.
Hmm.
Um, so pretty much I threw up a couple pictures.
Okay.
One of them is what I was just talking about with the way angles cut through that center point. It's a big clue, man. It can kind of show people, the angles are important. Those are the angels, right? There's many angels, there's only one angel. So the angel is what actually is not plural and is singular, and that would be really Saturn and the Mars aspects, the malefics. So that would be the real particle, the real thing that is separate from, I mean, nothing's really separate, but the thing that's the mirror almost. It's the metal, it's what reflects the image.
Hmm.
So we've
Yeah.
got,
What's cool? You
and
talk
that's
about
why lead,
angles. Oh.
and that's why lead and iron. You look, Saturn drops down, the 180 drops down to 90, lead drops to iron, and then you've got really iron dropping down to the moon to silver, and then which means silver drops down to prop. This is a story of the noble silver metals right here on this side, and you've got that probably dropping down into platinum, palladium, rhodium, and what have you here in this surface area, which are probably the metals that are the most refined of those silvery metals and those etheric metals that come from pretty much the white or the outside. And that's why those are going up in price like crazy to have any, like, physically now, because someday
Hmm.
people will see where the real value is, and
yeah.
they won't be there anymore to get, but you'll still have it in your soul, and all that good stuff. And then we've got, let me see. So we'll probably get a little more into that later there, but I've been doing a lot of astrology this week, and I'll pretty much get into why. So
Right.
we've got another baby squirrel, and
Wow. You guys are
yeah,
definitely squirrel wranglers now.
mhm, number three, man. So last night we got a phone call, or a text or something from her daughter up in Indiana, and there was her neighbor, had like a baby squirrel that was pretty much either out of the nest or so, like real young. So then typically means it got kicked out, or the mother died, or when the little baby is not hanging out with the mom, it's typically that thing's not going to live too long.
Yeah.
So we pretty much, she drove up and went and picked it up, hung out for a little bit, and brought it back. I threw a little picture up. in the one chat channel there, and we don't have a name yet, of course. We just got its first droppers of food in here this morning. Amy's been pretty much doing the whole thing. She went and picked it up, and I was sleeping last night. I was actually super grumpy when I got home, and like, I don't know. I'm so mean when I'm sleeping. So I think they got in at like 12:40, and I didn't even get up. I was just like, shut the lights off, and I'm the
Yeah.
biggest asshole at night. It sucks, but.
Dude, I couldn't. Like I say, I got a bunch of sun this week with running and stuff, and like it's just 90 and such. And man, my sleep schedule's messed up now. I don't know what's going on. Like I literally sit in
Mhm.
bed. Well, when it's hot, it's hard for me to sleep in general. But like I was
Mhm.
literally like I like smoked a bowl yesterday and was just like overcharged. It was nuts. Like I literally was like in my light body sort of, I guess. Like it was just
Yeah.
like, holy heck, this is great. But hey,
Mhm.
I want to say
The same
this.
thing, like running and shit this week has got me like Amy said, man, you've gotten a lot of sun. I've noticed
Yeah,
like this has been the time right now where I've started, like you said, I'm really absorbing the sun. I run every day at like noon, right around noon or 1 when the sun's pretty high, and
yeah,
I can feel it. Like I ran without my shirt one day, and I feel it in my skin good. I mowed the grass one day, which is a couple acres with a push mower, so that's a lot of sun.
yeah,
And I mean, I'm like you, man. I've been up till at least 11 midnight every night before I'm really starting to get sleepy.
yeah.
And then I'm sleeping hard for like 4 hours, like 5 hours, like really hard.
Nice.
And then I typically, I don't know, I'm 38. I get up to go to the bathroom. I don't know what that means about my bladder and its strength or weakness at this age,
If
but
you drink a lot of
usually
water,
about
it's natural, I
I
think.
do. I drink a shit ton.
Mm.
So I think it's funny that you pop up from the sleep realms or those astral realms or wherever the fuck you are to come back here to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
It's kind of like a portal, like a you know how in
yeah. It's a
like the Inception, he's got a safety mechanism in his pocket, that top
yep,
he can spin to know he's in his reality. It's kind of like that feeling of going to the bathroom and the act of eating kind of keeps us tied here in a way. It
yep.
gives us that physical body to anchor to. So when it calls, when it beckons, you kind of have to come back and take care of it if you want to keep it going and keep your gateway system open, because that's what this is. This is just a library card,
Right.
and you're in it. You've accessed a library card, and as long as you have the card, up to date, activated, and connected to the system, you can access things. So you can access things at night, go into those realms. You can access the day realms. You can access the sunset and sunrise, the 45s where you're in the balance, the purples and the pinks in the middle. All these are windows. I mean, if any point in the day, it's like you've got, since we've got movement, I mean, we can sit here all day, argue about shapes, revolutions, turns, spins, movements. The bottom line is we're really not much of in a position to know here with this world. This is something a little bit different. You're kind of not meant to know all the way, or you're not meant to hold the whole entire thing.
Yeah.
You're meant to see an angle of it, or you're meant to see it from a certain perspective, which is beautiful. I mean, that's what gives it color, right? That's what gives everything taste, smell, color. It fills it in. So, um, yeah,
Hmm.
man, been an insane week. I got pretty much an offer um, through an astrology opening, and I got to contact this
Cool.
person in Vegas. They're a high roller, or they're connected to a lot of, I guess, um, this person, they're big into craps, and they've come up with their own system for playing craps. So they've come up with a lot of like this method where they can roll the dice a certain way. They can set the dice up and pretty much use physics to only give you a certain amount of possibilities, or more likelihood that it's going to learn or land on. Pretty much sevens and craps kill you, and then if you don't get a seven, you can keep going. But of course, with two dice, seven is something you can roll the most. And then sixes and eights, I think, I don't know how to play craps, but I do know how to read the stars. So anyways, long story short, this guy, he's turning 72 here, so he's older. He's connected with a lot of things like Mountain Astrologer magazine, the Associated Press. He's got a
Whoa.
couple
Yeah, careful there.
different.
Don't if he doesn't
I
want
know
to.
it.
Yeah.
I know it. So he's got a couple different like YouTube ventures going, like some Facebook groups and shit.
Nice. Uh oh. Uh oh. I think we lost Barry already. Uh oh. Alright, well, we'll get Barry back here in a minute. We're gonna talk about sevens though. That seems to be the number of the week too. I'll tell you guys why. This would be a good time to share this out to some people real quick. Alright, well, I need to find a better way to ping Barry. We'll kick him out, force him to rejoin. Maybe he'll see that. Anyway, sorry for the technical difficulties, although if you've been watching for a long time, you'll know that this is a pretty regular event. Alrighty, well, hopefully you can get back on here in a minute. If anyone has any questions in the chat, feel free to shoot them out. We'll be glad to talk about them. He's back.
All right, fuck.
Hey, bro.
10:30, a couple minutes. All right, so
You got
I was
disconnected. Sorry.
where, do you remember like about where I was left off at there?
We were talking. You pretty much you talked about sevens, and then you talked a little bit about this guy, but then yeah, you just dropped right off. So
Okay, cool. All right, my bad, man. This fucking we
that's
gotta come up with a. There's our technical awesomeness.
I know. I was explaining that.
There
Everyone who
we
watches knows
go.
what's up. It's all good.
It's cool, man. So, anyways, I'll kind of try to keep my screen kind of open so I can see it too if it dips out there. So this guy in Vegas, pretty much, he wants to tie astrology in with gambling, and this has been one of my kind of nemesis with tying money in with the stars. Like
Mm,
typically, if somebody asks me for a chart or if they want me to look at something astrologically, I don't ask them for money. I have a hard time accepting money for that scenario, and the reason is because people, when they go to accept something, they think that they're balancing the equation by giving me some kind of money or physical thing, and that's not the balance that I'm seeking in exchange for this. What I'm seeking is for you to take your own wheel, your own stars, and to understand them. And by you doing your own work, that's the trade off for me that I really look for. And that helps me because when somebody helps their own being or their own self, that helps the whole entire thing. We're
right.
one family of light. So it's been a constant where I've probably only done 20 to 30, maybe 40 charts for people, but they're handwritten 25, 26 pages, and
Holy
it's very
crap!
personal. Oh
Wow.
yeah, I draw out the wheel by hand. I place
Nice.
everything
I did
and
that.
just
That's a
it's
lot
a
of work. Ton of work.
yeah, man. It's usually about 5 6 hours, and I
Oh,
typically
wow.
use a Saturday, and I haven't done any in a while, but I mean, I have a really hard time accepting money for them because there's a lot of responsibility packed in when I hand this to you. It's something where, listen, if you just look at this and read this, and if you can pretty much almost accept this or keep an open mind through reading through this, that's the what I'm looking for as the gift in exchange. And then the real gift, or the real marriage, or the real creation of the situation will be allowed to birth, and the energy that's in there will be allowed to marry the person, which will unfold what's inside them. So this guy, I pretty much came to the conclusion that, money, it's just a tool. It's not a moral act. It's not good or bad, right? It's
Yeah.
what you do with the money, that starts adding moral flavor to it. So pretty much. And then I started thinking, well, if you were to take a world of gamblers, which is a very egoic, lost from the self, very much a world that's focused on not spiritual or soulful, I guess, activity, you could say. They're looking at a very superficial layer. So my goal in this, or my long-term goal, is to turn gamblers into astrologers. And I pretty much I've pretty much been told intuitively that, the truth sells itself when you can show somebody that it's not a joke, it's not a coincidence, it's not random, that things that pretty much it's like a schedule, right? I'm going to give you some good windows that you're just going to go pick up money in. And that's pretty much all you need to do. And I don't have the tools to sit down at a craps table and understand the ins and outs of that. I haven't played it for years like this guy has at 72, and he's a teacher and he teaches classes and has written books on it. So
Wow.
I've got access to somebody that knows the game well. And then
Hmm.
I've also got access to somebody who has a lot of money. So and he said, I'll split all the winnings with you 50-50,
Whoa.
and I'll take all the losses myself. So, I mean, right away, that's a huge opportunity where I have nothing to lose. I
Yeah,
only
why
just
not?
need to feed this guy. I mean, it takes a lot of work. I've spent fucking hours this week looking at this guy's natal chart, this guy's progress chart, finding all of the part of fortune, which takes quite a bit of math. And then to line up a progressed versus a natal, and then to line that up to where he's living now, where he's going to be playing cards on a particular night, and then to understand everything that comes into looking at one moment, and what does it say, right? Learning how to judge something, which is my absolute specialty, having Saturn on the ascendant, and in Libra. So that's an exalted fucking Saturn on the ascendant, 6 degrees Libra, which is showing you that if you're gonna exemplify what you have an offer for there, it's duty and judgment. Those are the highest attainments of Saturn right there, is duty and
Hmm.
judgment. And it's judgment, it's a very crazy concept right now in these times, where it's treated as a very bad thing, something you need to get over, something that you're not supposed to do, especially to others.
Yeah.
And I
But we
think
do
I
it
think there's a
inherently.
compassionate. We do, right? It's something that, first of all, it's required to be
Yeah.
here. You have to be able to judge things. You're in polarity. So you've got to take the polarity, and you've got to see that 90-degree point in each one of them, the thing that's casting the image. So I'm going to take pretty much my entire life's work right now. I'm going to unpack this into, um, I guess, gambling, and show this person some windows, and I'm going to give them the best windows and the worst windows. So because when you've got really bad energy too, he can go play the house. He can go to a
Hmm.
table full of people and just pretty much start playing the house, and he can win money by the house winning money.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it, and it comes down to, what do you do with the money? And that is where the moral act, that's not going to be on me. Any money
Yeah.
that I receive from this, that will be on me, would I choose to put that money forth. And
Right.
then the question is have you done anything while along that path to better, to better people around you, to better the world? And I think the answer would be yes there. I think if people start to see, hey, this is, this is obviously working. This is giving something a 10 to 15 to 20% better odds, than typically when I just go randomly. If I
Yeah.
only go during these windows, then, I greatly increase my odds, which, is the goal of gambling, is to take more money home than you lose, I guess there. So,
I don't know about
um,
that really. The way I think gambling is about the now. It's like they're not really
mhm,
concerned with with the winnings because I mean they are obviously, and if you're a high roller, you definitely are, and you playing to win. But like the point of gambling, the point of risk taking in games is the risk taking. It's the actual in that moment when you make that bet and you put it on the line, and whether and you win, that's
right,
why. Because and I say this because I played games all my life, and I lived in Vegas
right,
for a year, and I didn't gamble because I didn't know. I'm not very great. I didn't know blackjack at the time. I wish I did. I would have played blackjack because I'm pretty good at that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the point of the gaming and the point of well, the people that get hooked on it, which usually it's because they don't try enough games, but like they're hooked on the win, and they don't care how many times
right,
they lose because that one time that they win is such a dopamine bolt for them
right.
that they just
You're
like,
right.
that's the average now. Like a high roller, like they're still playing for that with with more wins and more losses, so they are able to like build on it and such. But like it's all about that in the moment, your money's on the table, like, and that's exciting,
Right.
for
It
sure.
is. I think you're right. I think that whole element of risk really is the exciting part.
Yep.
I mean, and that's what I'm looking at. I mean, I see a future where astrology kills gambling. You know why God doesn't gamble? Because God is eternal and truth is eternal. And it just so happened at one point in a now somewhere that astrology beat up on gambling and it took them out. They couldn't afford to, be open and be part of society anymore because it was too easy. People started understanding the stars and they started using the windows properly. And I mean,
Yeah.
there's just, you can see anything. I mean, and it's gonna, any feat of risk taken or anything where you think there's odds, it's really interesting. Like, how do you get to true odds? Where do you find
What are
the
the
real
odds?
odds? Yeah, what I mean, and Todd, if there was ever a better person to speak on that, I mean, it's
No
got to be
problem.
you.
I'll tell you where the odds are.
Hmm.
They're in the nooks and crannies.
Yeah, baby.
Hey, you
That's
know
it.
what's crazy? So, well, not crazy, but we have a lot of synchronicity on here. And I did a so on Tuesday, or no, Monday, sometime this week. I don't remember which day. I think it was Monday. I follow the Mayan calendar as well, the 1320 calendar. So
Okay.
I'm a white spectral wizard, which is day 154. There's a 260-day cycle, and
Okay.
granted, it's a 260-day cycle within like a bigger cycle. It's an infinite system, which is why I think it's fascinating. But I did a big reading, like a bunch of. I usually whip out like 4 or 5 tarot decks and do all of them just to get some info. And I had the one reading I did. I had a whole ton of sevens, which I thought was very odd. And then you're telling me this, and obviously we have the 777 slot emoji, so. I was like,
That's
that's
awesome.
interesting, lots of I kind of see seven as like angles of information or like perspectives maybe, like new angles, new perspectives, something like that. Which
Hmm.
that's what we got right now. And we had the Fool card last week too, which is interesting. So that's gonna be all sorts of new beginnings.
Hmm.
Um
Very much so. Yeah, that seven is very sacred here. I mean, if you look at the sextile, the six, there's that sacred symbol of the, I think it's the, like a P going straight up and down north south with
yeah.
an X
The
on it.
Pyro.
And
Or
right,
or
right.
is it Chi Ra? No.
Mm,
Let's look it up.
it's
We
got
have the
so many different. It's got through all the cultures and whatnot. There's so many variations
okay,
on
yeah.
it.
Chiro. Okay.
Essentially, it's going to be your north, south, east, west axis, which is going to be four of the directions, which is going to be speared by the up and down. So, whatever you want to call that, you've got the north, south, east, west, which is pure movement, right? That's how you take something, because in order to know if you're moving, you got to know where like which thing is standing still. And then when you know which thing is standing still, you can see how it's moving, where it's going. And the movement itself causes that black and white. The
Hmm.
because where something's been, it creates a shadow. Where something's moving to, it's got that white into light, so that heat from the movement is what's causing that white to appear in the color. It's that alchemical marriage right there. So essentially, movement and white are the very same thing. So you've got, and it could have been where
I
the
like
very
that.
first move it could have been from the clear to the black. Essentially, black could mean movement, which could be the Lucifer, which could be the fall, which could be space, which could be pretty much, and then really the white would be the almost the return, or it would be the next fractal of the clear appearing. So you, and which could be why you've got quartz is like a white crystally clear, it's opaque white sometimes when it's in its more of its mineral form, and then as it approaches its crystalline aspect, it's see-through and clear.
Hmm.
So
I like that.
I don't
Yeah.
know. And then the next one would be the red, so which would be the next version of the black. So very much the black. You have Saturn as Capricorn, the 180, and then you've got the red as Mars, the 90. In between those, though, you've got that white right there, and it's probably going to be that 120-degree trine color. All color appears, everything in color. I mean, that's probably going to be Jupiter, and all the angles in between. That rare 150 that we've talked about many times, the quincunx, which is pretty much leaving the 180 position or building. It's really building to it, because 150 is on its way to 180. So it's kind of, you're at this position where you're committing to where you're gonna be turning around at. So when you're at
Hmm.
150, really when you're at 90 and you start to go to the 180, you already have it in your mind, because that 91st degree can't technically form. You can't have an arc right there until you have a spot you're going to turn around 90 degrees away at. So once you reach your halfway distance, it starts to create that arc back down in the fall, which is, I don't know, it's pretty.
Hmm.
Let me see here. We've got, so yeah, I'm kind of got that going on big time. I'm gonna give this person here, and it's a trial run, so I'm giving him kind of just a, free trial run in the beginning. I'm just gonna show him, hey, we've got something here if you want to play around with it.
Try it before you
Um,
buy it.
right, right. And so I'm giving him his first run tonight. He's got a nice window, pretty much right around, really starting at 4:45, but it kind of peaks 5:45 through 6:15. And it's a situation where it's with others. So I've found an area where we have a lot of favor coming in, materializing, and it's through others. And
Hmm.
it's in the setting of business partners and friends. So it could be pretty much, when you're a gambler, your business partners are the people you're at the tables with, pretty much.
Hmm.
So essentially, I'm going to try to use, I've told them, because in craps, you're either rolling, or other people are rolling and you're winning off them. So I said, and you have an option of passing your roll. So I told them, if you're able to pass your roll, I mean, this is a time when money's coming to you through others. So that's what's set up in the sky. So I mean, if you want to go along with the universe and the one song that's being sung, it'd be smart to pass your roll when it came to you, just so you could stay in the groove right there.
Yeah,
um
that's cool.
just little things like that, man. You can really hone in, because, and it can be bad if you have the same stars all set up in the same, well, not the same position, slightly off, but in the same houses. I mean, because you can't just take Venus in the second house, that, or Jupiter, and that means money coming to you. It's just not that way. It could mean money going away from you as well. And
Hmm.
it all depends on the judgment of the whole nativity, or all the angles combined to give you one story right there. So, and all the things come into play. Mars is going to show you the action. Mars is going to show you what caused it, the spark, right? I mean, all the different Mercury, how you're going to communicate, how things are going to travel to and from, how it's going to connect, what you're going to be thinking about, the communication aspects, the just that form of setting. And then, of course, you've got Jupiter and Venus, your benefics. So, you're looking at favor in general, luck in general, things that, are harmonic, a 120-degree angle and a 60-degree angle are the angles of Jupiter and Venus, and those are both considered harmonic for the system that we're in. We're in a system pretty much of the circle and the square and the triangle. All three, really all the platonic solids essentially, but those particular benefic situations right there are when you try to place things, so in a harmony, in a harmonic situation, you're looking for to be the third node. So you want to be the point that gets married. So you're looking to be the receiver or the gift of the harmonic trine that's happening, which is typically through Jupiter or Venus. And now the reason is because Venus would be half of Jupiter, the 60 being half of the 120 right there. And
Hmm.
they both kind of they're it's both kind of like a step down and a step up, like they're a doubling of each other almost, and a halving. So we've got of benefic things. So, but if these things are unfortunate, then it's going to show bad luck, right? So luck can either be good or bad. It's essentially just a tool, and luck is just something that we don't understand. We put a label on this term or this concept or this angle because we don't have a better word for it right now. We take
Hmm.
everything that we know around us and we've come up with this concept of luck, which describes things that we don't understand, that just happen
Yeah.
and they manifest without our control.
Yeah, I see it
And
as like potential though, like uh
hmm
because a lot of people limit their luck by they saying I have bad luck. And it's like, well, if you say
hmm
that, it's gonna definitely decrease your chances.
right. Yeah, now that you put it in the sound waves, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, man, it's I'm having some fun with that. It's
That's an
really
awesome
caused me
project,
to,
man. That's definitely a new
yeah,
beginning.
dude.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I had to look up. I have some old works on the part of fortune, and that right there in itself is really a lost art. And I can give a real quick synopsis of how it works, and I think it will show people why it's such a powerful tool. So the way that they find this point in a horoscope is they take the sun and they start at the sun position, wherever the sun is at your natal birth. So you take your birth chart, you pull it up, you look at the wheel. Really, the wheel with all the shit around it is going to be your main thing you want to be looking at. So you start at the sun and you count in the clockwise direction, the way that the signs move, and then you count the number of degrees in between the sun and the moon. When you get to the moon, you stop, and let's say they're in a square, so they're 90 degrees. The sun, and as you count, you hit 90 degrees, and then you hit the moon, and that would be considered a crescent moon.
Okay.
Depending upon a 90-degree one would be a moon that's building. It just came out of its conjunction. It's 90 degrees away. We're working towards a full moon here.
So this is
So
figuring out what the moon
part
state
of
was
fortune.
on your natal?
So this is how you're going to get your part of fortune, and
Oh, I
and
see. Okay.
yeah, so this is how you find your part of fortune location. It's a point, and I'll tell you what this point means here in a sec. So once you have this first number, once you know how many degrees, and make sure you're counting in the correct direction from the sun to the moon. Don't be counting anti-clockwise. So, so for this example, we'll say it's 90 degrees away. You've got your sun and moon 90 degrees away. Then you take this 90-degree number and you go to your ascendant on your natal birth chart and you count exactly starting from your ascendant in the same clockwise fashion, the way that the signs travel, 90 degrees from your ascendant, which puts you right up near the MC, the top of the chart, the sky, the father. So your part of fortune in this situation would be up in the 10th house, and it would depend upon which sign is there. There might be a planet there or two. There might be angles in other areas of the chart causing angles to this location. So there might be things 120 degrees away on either side that make this complete the trine aspect. So, and what this is, so real quick, the math behind this, if you look at this, what is this doing? What this is doing is it's taking the distance between the sun and the moon, and which is part of the circuit, right? Which is part
Yeah.
of the image. So the distance between the sun and the moon is like the aperture. It's showing you the amount of focus, the amount of light coming in.
I
It's
see that.
showing you a particular image that can manifest. So what we have is, why are we taking this number and putting it from the ascendant, and counting forward? Well, that's the way that the sun and the moon reflect into this realm off the ascendant. You're constantly on the ascendant. You're always on the ascendant position. So wherever you are, if it's, let's say right now, it's 10:55 on my ascendant, it's rising at 10:55 position. So the amount of light for this time of year at 10:55, we're directly on the east, which is when you look at the ascendant position in reality and overall everything that's real, that position right there is directly what's above you. Our east is what's overhead. So our east is like, think of Aries as the head, as the brain, the mind, that's at the top. Okay, and then you've got the air, Libra, that is what it's levitating in the bubble, the sack that it's standing in, it's levitating on. So you've got Libra, which surrounds it, and then you've got the hydrogen or the cardinal fire, which is sitting at the top of the air sac in there. It's like the yellow, which the top in a bird's eye view is going to look like an egg yolk with the yellow in the center, because the real top is a pyramidal top. You extend from the north, south, east, west, and you go up into the pyramidal position, the pyramid, fire up the middle, which gives you that yellow, which gives you that luminescence, the two luminaries, the white and the yellow, and that makes things visible. So when we bounce this off the ascendant, we're seeing where and how it appears. So it's giving you the direct location, and it's giving you the flavor, and it's showing you things with the angles and in terms of the sine wave with the planets, because the planets are all just an expression of the portion of the one sine wave. There's one sine wave, and it's like a snake, and it's got different densities in it. And all the densities are depending upon the spin, where the central stillness and the rotation is at. And this creates the mixture, and it creates all the different densities in the sine wave that we see, and all the colors and everything. And these are all going to be the nodes of the sine waves
Yeah.
position. So each wave, each fluidic ocean of a substance has a north and a south axis in it as well. It has an area. A fluid has, just like a mineral, it has a north, south, or it has a magnetic declination in it. Everything. If you take rocks, this is how they date certain things, and they know if this rock was on the ground, if a human or something dropped this here, or if a volcano shot this here, or if something brought this up, they can know things that have been sitting in place versus things that have been moved, just by studying the magnetic, the electromagnetic signatures of the way that the material is built and the way it's lined up to our system that it's sitting in. So all the things in an area will have, that haven't been moved, that have been sitting there for eons, are going to have the same magnetic, electromagnetic signatures to them. They're all going to have the same access. And then if you take something that's been moved, played with, or man-made, that's going to have something different. It's going to be offset. It's going to be out of the harmony of the area that you're in. So that's way better than carbon dating, and it can show you based in time when that object was placed down in that position, and it started building the overlay of the rest, what the area is holding. So the things that haven't been moved, they've been stacking in one position the whole time. The things that have been moved, they have a different layer from where they came from how they were building, and then they were positioned this way, and then they started stacking just like those things around it, the same way they started absorbing into matter. So, or they started breaking down into matter the same way. So you're either building up, you're gaining, or you're losing. It's up and down. It's a heave. That's why heaven is a heave in. You keep building up, you're adding to. So I mean, that's why it's the battle for the north here. The north is the pyramid, is the tallest position in this realm. So, and it's the inner position. From the bird's eye view, it's the point in the center of the circle. That's why bad things come in actually from the south, the outer ring. So that ring, that white bubble that's around the black node in the center, that white ring is your protection. That white ring of color, things that get colored allow you to see them when they're coming in before they get to the center where the particles are absorbed into the black, where you take your light internally. And where you take your light internally is how you build your seeds and your blueprint. All of these things unfold into your forms and your shades, which then get colored. So it's important to have a good handle on your forms and your shades, with which is what the moon realm is. That way, when you're coloring things, you can't take a paint by number and change the form around in it. You've got to go with what they've given you, and it's up to you how you'd like to color it. I like to fuck around with the form and the shade side because that's what you get that gets colored. So to me, it doesn't matter how it gets colored. I mean, it does matter, but at the same time, that's for the observer. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. They're going to color you no matter what color you think you are. That's fucking trivial. Color is not for you, it's for them. I should say, color is not for I, color is for you. That's pretty much how it works. In living color is something for all of us. When we all come into color, we take our forms, we take our shades, we take our soul that our spirit has been dawning in time after time after time. The soul is the keeper of the spirit. So the soul keeps what the spirit's been doing. And then the soul goes into a body. Right. So then it takes and that's how you've got that trinity right there. You've got that marriage between three separate things, which gives you the four. So the movement of that marriage of three things moving is the fourth thing. That is the force. So the physical soul spirit body here moving is the fourth. That is the fourth position. So in every horoscope, when you look at a horoscope and you're looking at it, the best place to start is to say, okay, I've got the ascendant right here on my left, which is really spirit's right because everything's mirrored. I've got my MC, or my culmination point, where everything goes up highest into the mind, right here, dead center up top. And then over here on my right, um, I've got my descendant. These right here, these first three positions are the triangle. This itself is what we're building into matter that goes into the fourth, which is in the darkness down at the bottom, which is where Mars exalts right there. Technically, when you look at a traditional house system, for this system before the fall, it's set up Aries at the ascendant. It goes down to Cancer in the fourth house right there. So it's showing you that this is the mother. So this system here, when we absorb all our light, which if you look at opposite Capricorn is Cancer, and then as we go into the summertime and we hit June 21st, which is Cancer, that's when we have the most sense, the most light, the most visible things we're pulling in. And at that point, the Lu or the blue is the most visible. So you can see our blueprint. You can see what's packed in the seed. You can see all the feeling and touchy shit. It's got so much flavor and color. It's so visible. It's a time when Mars is nurtured. It's a time when action rests. So it's the opposite of Mars and Capricorn when it's a time for movement. You're done fucking resting right there. You're done being dead. It's time to rise that shit up. It's time to take this inner light that you've taken all into the darkness, and now you're going to start to bring it back out, and you're going to give it out to the world. You're going to take your light, and because the whole purpose of the light is not to keep it and to hold on to it, or you'd always be this black thing that nothing would ever see. You have to take that light and not let it stagnate in you. You don't want it germinating in there and festering. You need to let it flow. You need to
You
let
need
it
it
be
to
in
be.
harmony
It needs
with.
to be light.
Right. And Amy just told me last night, sent me a text, said wolf is flow backwards. So, I mean, we've got,
Interesting.
if you, I mean, yeah, I mean, and they think about the sheep and the wolf. And of course, in this day and age, we call, we give the people who, go along with what everything is the sheep. And, the wolf are the ones that are pretty much what they're supposed to be stealing the sheep, or eating the sheep, or eating the falsities, burying the sine waves, right? I mean, that's where you want to take that image and you want to eat it, you want to ingest it. You don't, and that's not a literal concept of actually trying to bring these non-visible things into visible things so you can put them in your visible thing and then you can believe in it. It's just when you eat something, just as your eyeball eats light, a loo or visible things, just as your mind eats the loo, because your eyeball is going to eat the loo and then your mind is going to eat what the eye brought in as the food. So, and then the mind's got all these beautiful things now going on, and it's going to feed the heart. The heart has more receptive qualities from the brain than the brain does from the heart. So that shows you how things come in. And we have our ultimate generation center in our sacral center in that upside down triangle in the middle, which is that Sagittarius arrow upside down, which is Jupiter hung upside down. It's stuck in the dirt, right? So that's why we've got a triangle sacrum down at the bottom of our spine, and it goes up to the light bulb. We're hung upside down. So that's the Fool card right there. Um, so, I mean, we very much got the brain as a mechanism to feed then the heart. And then the heart this is where we're at right here. The heart is the anagram for the earth. And at this point right here, the purpose of the heart is to build the seed, it's the pump. It's the monadic pulse, and it makes the choice, okay? You don't have a choice when you get a heart attack. If you were to get like a widowmaker right now, or any kind of the thing, it can just shut you down. It's the real choice maker right there. The brain, and you can come in, you can have a heart attack and still be okay. You can get back on your rhythm, but that rhythm, that ultimate, that monadic pulse right there is your vibrational wave that everything's feeding into. And then this is how you're supposed to see the world. This is that your food is like a three-step process down to your heart. That gut mind then down there is probably the fourth mind. It's probably this high mind, this pyramidal mind off the heart that's showing you what the true Jupiterian gut mind ought to eat, which is why when you fast, you become healthier, right? I mean, think of fasting and how the quickest way through any disease is just to stop putting shit in you, pretty much, and to just give your body fucking space, time, and nothingness. You need the original nothingness. That nothingness right there has a new thing in it. So you need a new thing to pretty much bring in with the original restoration ingredients in it so you can fucking get back to your original restoration and to settle your wave. So and we know that the heart puts out a field 1,000 times out of the brain. So if you want to see far, you're going to use an intuitive kind of like that gut mind is going to be like an amplifier for your heart. So you've got that center solar plexus that then aligns in the field of your heart, and then it's constantly lining up with the way things are around you, and you're pulling in the intuition with the way the universe is pulling in the intuition, and you're always in that now, and you're constantly using that gut mind in your heart. That gut mind is like this eyeball that gets to reach way out there in that large field of the heart, and it's kind of like that eyeball floating around like you see in movies that's surveilling everything. It's like an observer. That is that intuitive vehicle that can go anywhere. Intuition is it's got the three eyes in it. I mean, that's the third eye right there. That is the most heightened state of this realm, is intuitive existence. There's no other way about it. That is pure love, is pure intuition. Those things right there, you can't get into a higher form of beingness right there than being in pure intuition, which is operating a moral polar caloric vessel in an insanely efficient way. And then what happens is the more efficient that you become at your circuit, the pretty much you're doing something right. So if there's resistance in you, it's going to eat you up. It's going to cause tooth pain. Your organs are going to hurt. Your circuit isn't able to translate the energy correctly. So it's going to cause disturbances in you. And then those are going to manifest in physical, whatever things that we call disease and, bodily injury and whatnot. So, but if you are able to constantly eat and absorb and digest what's coming to you, then you're never carrying any weight from the past. You don't have any baggage. You're light as a feather. You're always in that now. Your circuit is not getting beat up. You as that thing in the center connecting the two realms isn't overheated. It's one of the reasons why I like to run when it's really hot out in the summertime. I like to run when it's cold. I like to throw my physical body here through extreme conditions so that when it has a test, when it's put under conditions, it's not overheated and it's not cold. I mean, it's because it's already played with that shit. That doesn't even phase it anymore.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, think of when you
yeah.
run, think of how being hot before you go, like, oh, it's hot out today. This is going to be a hot run. And then you go run and you're like fucking sweating and it's just pouring down. And how good, how pure does that feel to have that purge taking place right there? I mean, it's like and then you hold it. You hold it really for as long as you can. I mean, give it a good run, give it a good 25 minutes. It's not about going fast or, winning a fucking marathon. It's about that sweat process right
It's
there.
about training your will for me because like that's what I got the most out of. It's
What's the
like,
will?
well,
You
just
have to keep
training
going,
your
right?
will because like nowadays, because I've been doing it for like 11 years, and I'm not
Yeah.
super ultra level or anything, but like I just get bored. My
Yeah.
body's so
Yeah.
good at it now. Like I can run, and then it's like for me, I literally have to do it. Like I run to like just tell my mind to shut up. Like I have to
Yeah.
burn it out. Like that's
Almost
um.
11:11.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, it's dude, when I run, I'm pretty psycho. Like I think of weird shit. So
Yeah,
like I like to think so I've been running pretty much every day for over a year straight. So a lot of times I visualize 400 and something other versions of myself because I always try to
yeah,
run around the same time. I go into the same spot. I have a routine that I've built up so I can measure myself. So, for instance, if it's windy today, I can go at the same time on my same circuit that I always do. And today I can get knowledge about the wind. I can see how just something small like that affects me.
yeah,
Coldness, heat, or hey, I don't
yeah.
feel that great today. Or hey,
Elevation
right,
is
right.
a huge
Hell
one.
yes. Because I have little hills up and down on my route, so
Oh
absolutely,
yeah.
man.
When I go
So,
home, it's 400 feet lower than here.
oh
So
wow.
in Columbus we're 850, but it's funny. I really I find elevation hilarious because you can check it some days and it'll be 840, and then some days it'll be 860, which if they're so set in stone on math, they should have that figured out, I think. But it to me, it just proves the you're on a wave, like it's always going up and down.
You really are. Yeah, I mean, if you're on the stable part, which you probably are if you're on the thing that, is firm,
Yeah,
you've got the wavy part that's going up and down is obviously that water. I mean, it's totally gonna be the ebb and the flow of the cosmic wave.
yeah.
And it's really interesting. Do you really see
Oh,
that? Is it the same sites too?
same
Like the
sites.
same, like, do you go to look that up and you see it on the same place you were looking before? It's changed.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, well, yeah, two things. One, yeah, I use the elevation on my phone. So I always,
oh,
for a while, I was doing it all the time and logging like different elevations and then, just reminding myself how I felt in different elevations. So like when I go lower elevations, and this is my point when we were talking about running too, is so when I go home, it's about 450 elevation, and then if you go to the beach on the East Coast, it's a zero elevation. So
right.
which is interesting too. But
Yeah,
when I go
I ran up
home,
in the Rockies too, like at like
oh
eight, nine
right,
thousand feet.
yeah,
And I've ran over 10,000 feet up at Medicine Wheel in Wyoming. And
wow,
I don't know. I run really good on both extremes. Like
wow,
I don't know, but you can definitely feel that oxygen lack up on the high altitudes, but it doesn't
right,
affect you like you think it would. Um,
yeah. Well,
I don't know. I'm
when I
sorry to
run
cut
on the
you off.
East Coast, no, you're good. On the East Coast, like it feels heavier when I run. Like I feel,
Hmm.
um, even though it's not
I
a
agree.
hard
I
run, it's
agree.
just like it.
Is that the
It's
humidity, the moisture? What is that? Is it the because it's a feeling in your
I
body? I
think
know
it's
it's
the
your legs are
density of the.
heavier.
It's just the density of being lower in space. So we have, there's always energy going on around us. I think there's just if you think about, the way I think of the world is like I use like a map, like a 3D map, and I just like project what the reality looks like, and as far as I can see it, and like what I know, right? But then I
Right.
can when you think about the levels of density and elevations, and you like kind of walk down, look at water. Water flows all down and in, right? So all the energy that's higher up in elevation, that would also, if you're going to a lower elevation, theoretically, that would be higher density just in general because you're going lower into density.
Mm-hmm.
And when I
Mm-hmm.
run at the beach, like it's even more. Like I can feel it. It's not. I don't know. I mean,
I agree, and that's
there the
maybe what I was.
humidity for sure. Yeah, yeah. That's
And I
probably
think
what
it's
it
an
is.
electromagnetic signature in your body. If you look
Mm,
at the East Coast versus the West, you have trees and all this heavy matter appearing out in the East Coast, kind of spiking down in. So it shows you've got something that's in the air and in all the bodies, which is the electromagnetism running through that kind of makes you stickier to the earth. And
yeah,
then as you go out west, trees, it's just rare out that way. You only find them in like mountains near water and creeks, and I mean it's pretty much that water is what gives you that stickiness to kind of set down, and it's
yeah,
something that's the out west is that dry and it sends you out so you're lighter, which is what I was trying to say with the running up on the 10,000 feet. My oxygen system might not have been doing the best, but it wasn't hurting too bad because my body was so light that it was just
oh,
kind of striding and gliding, like it wasn't heavy at all. And running every day, when I say my legs are heavy, like that's just in my own personal percent. Like my legs aren't heavy at all, but for me, sometimes I can just feel a slight heaviness, of course. But it's that completely disappears, and then it feels springy when you're like going out west and you run. Like it's just different. Like you're running on air. Like you're kind of floaty, kind of like a Hermes winged sandals feet there. You're just kind of
cool.
just moving along, man. And out here, you kind of got a little bit of lead weight in you. Feels like.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, I bet it has. I bet that's how that works. That's cool. I think I talked about it before on John C. Lilly. He would do those high elevation psychedelic runs, like they were doing like ketamine and stuff at
Oh
like
wow!
20,000 feet. And then,
Holy shit!
yeah, he's like,
What happened? Did they get some good visual visions and like things come through,
well, I
or were they
mean,
were just working out and running and shit?
they were doing like all sorts of stuff. From what I know, I don't really know what results like came specifically from that testing, other than like that made him. And it's funny because I had this like idea in my head. I'm like, I wonder if you go higher, you could get higher or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
And like
My
then
first
it,
mushroom trip ever was like that, up on top 10,000 feet, Steel Mountain in
wow.
Idaho. And I thought it was just because of my first trip, I mean, the stars were amazing, all these colors popping out at me. I was,
Yeah.
I parked my car at 10 at night, ate the mushrooms, and then started walking. There was this place 4 or 5 miles up just like a mountain road, and then the mountain road ended, and then I started hiking this creek line up, and if you know anything about Idaho and out west wilderness, I mean that's some thick kind of, I mean, especially I had no fear. Like you could walk
Nice.
up on a bear and that shit. I was just going right up through the creek 2 3 in the morning. I felt like Superman. It was beautiful. I felt like it was a magical kingdom, and it was no fear, just complete comfort. And then I got right to this campsite that I had built way out in the middle of nowhere, like a nice rock fireplace and a little sleeping lean, and I pretty much just set up and had a little bit more, but I never touched that same experience again there. I mean, ever since then, I noticed when I don't take it like in a very up high setting, it's more you can get caught up in some of the death thoughts, laying in your bed staring at the ceiling fan type
Yeah.
shit. Hmm.
Yep. Yeah.
Which is good. I mean, that stuff too. Obviously, if you're going through that, it's something needed. I mean,
Yeah.
because for me, mushrooms are a big soul check. Like, hey, how have you been treating people, and how have people been treating you?
Yeah.
So if somebody's been very hurtful to you, and you go to take mushrooms, it's going to come through. You're going to see the hurt even more. I had a friend one time. I thought was a pretty good buddy, and then he I pretty much did. Somebody had stolen something from me, and I always had friends at my house, and it wasn't a big deal, but something went missing, and nobody ever stole anything from me before. So, and I know where everything is. I mean, Saturn on the ascendant, you've got a good track of the location of everything, and when you need to go use something, where it is. So this thing was missing, and I knew that only one other person knew about it, but the person that knew about it, they thought another person knew about it as well. So what happened was is they tried to blame it on the other person, because
Ah,
I had told them where this object was, and that this other person was going to come pick it up. And the thing is I was out of town on a vacation, and I never told that other person to go pick it up. And what happened was is it ended up going missing. So when I got home from vacation and I went to get it, the story was that, oh, the person came and picked it up, but of course, I never contacted that person and whatnot, so I knew exactly what had happened.
mm,
Long story short, here again, when I took mushrooms that night, and that person had come over, and the truth came right out instantly. Like, I
yeah.
confronted it right there. Like, it was like, hey, why did you take this? you
Right.
know I mean, and they had to leave. They just couldn't face the energy.
Oh,
um
dang.
and I didn't feel bad or nothing. I was so truthful, and so I felt hurt. I felt like, when you're on mushrooms, and stealing or poor moral acts, like, you see them, they're even worse. Like, they do not feel good at
Right.
all. Like,
Yeah.
it's something like, if you treat people in a bad way, like, let's say you yell at, or like, I'm really bad with my words. So if I were to take mushrooms, everything over the last year that I've said that have hurt people's feeling, that's all going to come up. I'm going to get to review that, and I would be a better person for the next few months right now.
Yeah.
Probably something I ought to do soon, since I've been a little out of control over the last year, but it's all right,
The
man. I mean,
energies are
I
pretty
love
wild
everybody
for
so
you, though.
much. It's a hard love. I have so much caring that I'm so sharp sometimes, and it's out of stern love. Like, look, you can't do this, and this is why I love you too much to see this, or you get hurt, or I mean, or look, I love you too much to not understand this concept. You have to know why this, why I care about this, and I'm so passionate about this. I have to show you. Um, I'm not always good at showing people, though. I mean, I pretty much, I can, like I said, be pretty violent with my words, and the truth, what I think is the truth might not be somebody else's truth. So I mean, it comes out as, arrogant projection, and it just causes hurt, and it's, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking
So you ever,
about, there were some people on the chat this week talking about, like, someone was asking if you can kind of, like, say what truth is, and then they were saying, like, what is the way of, was it like, what's a way of talking about truth without the, what they were trying to say was a way to avoid the language pollution, right? So if I say truth, you instantly have some sort of definition of what that is, right? Um,
right?
and
That's
when
a great question.
true, and when you're using a chat form or online communication, you have no context, so it's a huge loss of data, right? When you're trying to converse,
Right.
and especially with
In
digital,
just words,
yeah,
or
and
just spelling words.
well, I say digital anything because if you're not in the now with somebody, like physically there, it's all
hmm
hearsay, really. But especially with
ninety
anything
percent of
online,
communication is nonverbal. So I mean, you can't
yeah,
see their body language, their tone. You can't hear their tone. You can't even smell them.
yeah,
What if this person's trying to tell you, um, sorry, man, I don't have any extra buds I can give you. I'm fresh out. And then if you were right next to them, you'd smell this huge bag of weed in your pocket, and you would know this person's lying to you.
yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
kidding,
but
but
it's also like that's the experience too though. Maybe you could say that there's ways of saying you that maybe that person needs to lie to you. Maybe that bag of weed's not for you. Maybe he already sold that bag of
right?
weed. You don't know. So if you're jumping
Maybe
to
that's for his
assumption,
dying grandmother, or
yeah,
and yep,
yeah,
it's true.
Yeah.
How do you know? How can you, right? How can, but there's still a matter of truth there. There's a matter of truth. I mean, I guess the appropriate question is do you have any marijuana? And
For sale.
start there. And if it's a no, then that's a poor act in itself. It's okay to say, look, I've got this, but it's spoken for.
Right.
I apologize, brother. I mean, it's just is what it is. And
Yeah.
hey, check this out. Maybe a couple days from now, we'll go get some Pineapple Express and we'll just go hang out at the rooftops and just chill and, watch the birds eat and shit. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
that's your right.
that's where I would say it's not really about truth. It's more about how you're going to communicate, which you may want to check
Mm-hmm.
into that Marshall Rosenberg. I really think it brings a nice idea of just like being more aware of how you use your words. Like I know,
Mm-hmm.
and we talked about this several times with, especially with Florence Scovel Shin. But like I'm like always trying. Like the last, it's been a little hard this week, but because I'm meeting like tons of new people lately. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm always
Me
trying to
too,
be
man.
very careful with my words and like being more aware of like how, I guess you could say I'm like really noticing how people are playing their
How people
cards.
see you, or yeah.
No,
Okay.
because I don't
Okay.
care how people see me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I do, obviously in terms of like the human level, because that's important, and I have to keep building certain things at that level for
Sure.
sure. But like, I'm like, yeah, it's very interesting. It's cool. It's a great time, but I like I say, it is the language.
Some right. I mean, it's
Paying
truth is
attention
a.
to it's good. You want to be doing that, and like, and I think the big thing. Sorry, I need to rant 1 sec.
You're
But
good.
like, I
Yeah,
think
you're
the
good.
language. I'm trying to always improve my language too, to be precise, but like, I'm always
Yeah.
trying to keep things lighthearted. But it's also, it seems so important to be cautious of the, like, the propaganda words and the words that I don't want to propagate. You know what I mean? That's why I don't like to
Yep.
talk about any of the human
The
shit.
warlocks.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to propagate that. And every time you do, and every time you say something like L light, like, stop saying that. They're not chosen. If you say that, it's a trick. And a lot of the words that are sort of out there are to trick you, and that's the point. And if you fall for it,
Yeah.
they don't see it as a bad thing. They don't see it as God's gonna punish them, and I don't see it that way either. I mean, I see it as like potential karmic debt. That seems like unavoidable, but like,
Right.
like these words we use and the way people banter them about, it's like, uh, and I know I've said it a bunch of times, where people that say, I can't do this, I can't do this. It's like, you can't do anything unless you try. You have to put an effort forth. So,
Right. Right.
yeah,
Even trying I mean, isn't really going to get you there. You have to hold that it's already completed, and I'm just going to perform the necessary steps to get there.
yeah,
And because if you're trying to do something, you don't know if it's going to work yet. Like it's not complete inside of you.
yeah.
So
But nature
it's
loves
very
courage.
important. It does, and you've got to. That's where the belief, the whole realm of belief, comes into play, and where it's important. You've got to tie in that belief, and it's got to be true. It works with the intent system, so you can't just have shitty beliefs out there like, hey, I believe
Bad
everything's going to be
ideas.
okay. I'm going to get all this money, and I mean, those are kind of like fake carrots on a stick. I mean, you need grounded and centered beliefs that are practical, that can bring you from step A to B. So,
Symbiotic, and
and
like, yeah, they gotta
mhm,
work with other people. You're here to be with other people. That's why I absolutely despise the idea of this, the terms. But like, you're here, like, there's nothing to do in the void. Like,
right,
just accept that you're
yeah,
not gonna know everything in this world, and like, you're here to spend time with other beings and build something together. Like, that's what the
that's
Freemasons are. Like, that's what they do. They build shit.
hmm hmm free Ma's son, man. You free it. Once you free Ma's son, it's you got a little boy. That's the truth, man.
Nice.
It's it's a very, I mean, there's going to be inherent things that are just true in themselves. So I mean, when we speak of truth, so if we think of a triangle, okay, you can't make a triangle with more than 180 degrees. It's just a fact of the world, a
Yeah.
fact of geometric principle, that if you have 181 degrees, you have your first polygon. Okay, because you don't have a point or a node that is singular now, and you have something that has you have a fourth point that has occurred. So anything over 180 degrees, anything over that delta, that D is going to bring you into, a different shape. So there's truth is a funny thing, and like you just nailed, sound and truth are
Mm,
two different realms. Now,
yeah.
when you utter something into sound that's coming from light, so you're taking something unseen, which is your thoughts and your feelings, and you're wrapping them up, and you're giving them sound, you're giving them something that you can bring into this realm. And it's a very dirty process right there, unless you've started out this realm with understanding sound and light. The first access of how things drop into a sound body. So when something has enough acceleration, when something really moves, it drops a sound body. So when you break the sound barrier, you pretty much, now at this point, you have a body, because if you've left the sound barrier, you're still connected from where you left. That's part of your past. Your past will always be with you. So you will be connected to that. All movement gives you a past, and a future, because have you can't have movement without a direction of going towards
Right.
something. Even if you don't
Intention.
know what you're going towards,
Yeah.
you're still moving towards unknowingness. So I mean, it's all movement. We're gonna have this principle, and we're not moving yet, and that's the big thing that people don't understand, that is so tricky here, is
Yeah.
that you're a light body. So everything that you see, yes, it feels real. When you go to touch your skin, you bump into it, but that's because that's light too. And when things of a similar nature hit each other, and they're all in the same realm, they're all going to bump into each other. So these could all, whatever widget you want to call all this shit,
Would you?
light, matter, it doesn't matter. Pick a sound, pick some kind of utterance that we can all agree on.
Yeah, let's just
And
learn
then, you know
sign
what?
language and quiet it down, actually. That's probably, to me, that seems like the fastest way. Because I've been trying to learn sign language, and it's not very complicated. And it's really
No.
nice because you can communicate very quickly with it. In fact, I would
Right.
argue that it's probably a safer language because uh, you have no choice but to say what you
Right.
mean, really.
It's the first it's the
There's
first
no
language, Todd.
abstraction. Yeah,
First
yeah.
page of the Bible, we got in Genesis. It says, God made the stars in the firmament, and let these be for signs. So right
Hmm.
there, you have sign language.
I
So
like it.
you have the very first sign language is the fixed stars, and fixed from our position means that you're moving so fast, in an image. So really, there's no movement at all. But what's going on is these things out there that are actually moving. I mean, because the fixed stars, they still have this movement, but to our perception, we're not here long enough to see their movement. So these things are eternal from our perspective, but they still exist in time. So it shows you that even within the realms of time, there's these everlasting objects that just sit there and just observe and absorb. And I mean, still though, they have a beginning and an end. Anything in time is going to have a beginning and an end. I mean, it's a time in itself is the only eternal aspect. The only guarantee is that you're going to have constant change,
Yo,
constant ebb and flow. That's all time guarantees. And you've got time and you've got space. And then you've got the marriage between them. And those are the three options that you have. So you can either be the sine wave, which is space. You can be the time, which is particle, because if you think of the particle, it exists in time. It deteriorates or it grows, it gets more time or it gets less time. When you leave this light realm right here, you're not going to care about how many silver ounces you have, or how many dollars in the bank, how many I was going to say friends you have, but that'll actually be something you do care about. But all the things you that are considered physical and material here, all of these things, of course, aren't going to be what you get to take with you. I mean, it's these are all the whole entire. I mean, that all stays with Saturn. That's all going to stay with Mars and Saturn. All the things that intersect that coin, that thing in the middle, the koi in. It's the goldfish swimming in the freaking pond. I mean, it's the gold dust woman. I mean, it's koi. Koi is that you've got the real McCoy, Mick Coy, McDonald's, right? I mean, you're gonna don the old by eating that food. You're gonna deteriorate your shit real quick. We've got, I mean, pretty much that Mick, is I don't know, man. It's the koi. Let's get back to that. The fish, right? I mean, and koi is something like tricky, a little bit like Loki, like someone who has the knowledge. They think they're coy enough and they're slick enough to kind of get through it, but really the koi fish ends up, is always in the pond still. You still got to get your wings, and you still got to get on the land to get your wings, and it's a process to get up out of that water. I mean, everything here is born of water. I saw something this week with the chemtrails that we look at up in the sky that I've been calling chemtrails for the longest time. I think I have a whole different perception on what these are now. This is water above us, and you're looking at something that's going very fast across the top of the surface of water or hydrogen, liquid something. And then what's happening is, and that's why you always see these black lines near them. So what's
Hmm.
happening is some kind of fucking spaceship, some kind of object is traveling on these electromagnetic bars. Okay. And
Ah,
and then
that
then
makes
what
sense.
happens when this thing travels at a high rate of speed on these electromagnetic bars, there's a heat transfer. That all that heat has to go somewhere. And what happens is it causes a disturbance in that vacuum up there, and it causes a direct straight ripple down onto the surface. And then when that surface of hydrogen clear hydrogen gets rippled and vibrated, it drops down and falls into gas. And that's why you see the gassy, misty chemtrail things. That's all just hydrogen. And these are all of this whole entire system, all of those lines in the sky we're seeing whatever their transportation network is, whatever the fuck system is up there, whatever kind
Hmm.
of Truman Show cage we're in,
Oh,
they're using that as a railway system. And what they do is they put a fake holographic image of a plane overlaid on it. They give us something that we can conceptualize. So we obviously can't understand these other things yet because we're just fucking dumb humans. So we're gonna put an airplane over this too. Oh, that'll then we can give them chemtrails. Let's throw that little
yeah,
conspiracy out there. That'll get them all caught up, and they'll because what's the one thing we all go for? We're truth seekers. So they know that if they can throw us false nuggets in there, we'll get all
yeah.
riled up and oh yeah, I tested the dirt. We got aluminum, strontium, and barium all over the place. And you know what? You got to have
Hmm.
that shit all over the earth. I mean, that's freaking Lou.
Hey, you know
I
what's
mean,
cool
tin.
about that? That makes a lot of sense. So
Look at a
Amazon,
boat going across the water in the Caribbean.
right?
You see a
Yeah, that's
chemtrail line.
yeah. You know what? I think there's there's a show that just came out. I think it's on the Amazon channels, but it's called Invincible. It's based on a comic book. Uh, it's pretty cool. In the last episode, and this isn't a spoiler, so don't worry about it. But they go to what is essentially like a lab, like ultra government, high end government lab, right? And
Okay.
they open the door and it's entirely white, and they're like, the two characters walk in, they can't see anything because it's all white, and the guy says, like, turn on the lights. And basically, when they turn on these lights, then you can see that it's like this ultra high end, government lab. Everything's, people are building stuff. But the guy says something like,
Wow.
and this is animated, by the way. So, but he's like, yeah,
Wow.
this is because of chemicals that are put in the water that create a frequency that don't allow you to see this without special lights. So like,
Wow.
yeah, and it's like, well, what you just said, then that makes a ton of sense. Like that means they're just
That's
hiring.
what that fucking is, man. That
Yeah, yeah,
clear. Oh, that's why the elements start out with hydrogen, which is the one, which is the I beam, which is an H on its side when it
yeah.
falls.
That explains
Because if you look,
psychedelics though too, because you're clearing out all that bullshit. So like if you do
that's
DMT
the liquid
specifically,
barrier. That's the brain
Drano,
barrier.
yeah, Drano,
Fuck, man.
nice.
Yeah, fuck.
Fuck you,
That's a
warlocks.
good call.
Seriously, fuck
Yeah,
you.
that's what it is, dude. We've got this layer of this like this, that might be the crystal ball, like this crystal hydrogen gas bubble, right? That's holding everything, that's causing this, and
Yep.
it's containing oil. It's got oil in it, right? It's hydrogen gas. It's got this oil in the center of it, which is causing a sheen or an image to pop off of it. And
Hmm.
it's like an oil slick. Imagine a 2D
Yeah.
circle, like an
Yeah.
oil slick in the
Yeah.
center of it, and it's turning like a black hole.
Yep.
And then imagine that as the pupil of the eye. And then and it's reaching out with its feelers. That's the black sun. And as it sends out, the only thing it will bounce off of is itself. So the thing that we call the sun is actually what it's bouncing off of. I was telling Amy this week that that thing we call the sun every day, that is just the black sun sending out it's everything. Like I'm at so your feet are connected to the black sun, your insides, everything's connected internally through that emanation out. So if you think of pretty much
Oh
a
man.
seed, right? We all come as a human from the seed of the man. And as the seed of the man gets impregnated, you have it's got this inside out unfolding. So you're looking at the inside out world of light of a seed. So you're looking inside of a seed pretty much. So the whole birth process is an internal process. When you birth, you come in ever more. So it's a constant working into the center where I mean, it's that clear liquid center. I mean, and that's where we are. That's the thing that absorbs all the light. And that's why the whole thing falls down from hydrogen. I mean, it's all contained within hydrogen, the hydrogen.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why you have the constellations in the sky, the snake eating its tail, the dragon eating its tail. It's this circle of we're contained within this shelf, within this. I mean, what do you think those Van Allen belts are? I mean, once you figure it out, you can just call it the vanilla belt, and you can get it right past that vanilla shit. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Nice.
yeah, man, it's probably something going on up there that we're. I mean, because those black lines always throw me off. Those weird
Yeah.
straight black lines you can see. I mean, that's
Yeah.
our. And then the Hopi said, in the last days, you'll see spiders weaving webs in the sky.
Yeah.
And, we're probably looking at those black iron sulfur bars that are up there. And I bet because iron or sulfur gas right there, that black sulfuric gas is the most dense gas it absorbs. So it's probably sitting right on top. It's like this cage, and then that's what's containing the hydrogen bubble. That's the only thing that's keeping the clear hydrogen gas contained. It's contained within that sulfur black. So you've got that clear burst the black. So really the clear gave life to those black bars that you see that things are traveling on, that then they overlay a holographic airplane on to hide
Yep.
the ripple, to hide the sound wave transfer, which is really just causing that liquid gas to just drop into our realm, and it's putting more hydrogen. I don't know what more hydrogen will do in the system, but it was really already here. They're just putting it from a liquid to a gas form each time. And was that always there? We just are now seeing it, I mean, how do we know? Maybe the fact that we're able to conceptualize these things that brings them into visibleness now. I mean, that's the bowl. That's Taurus right there. Everything visible comes through Taurus is the bowl. I mean, if you're going to have anything visible, you've got Taurus, Venus, the moon, all that shit. Vulcan, that's all right there in Taurus. Second house. That's why money rules the second house. And it's things you need. It's the second thing to pop up out of the ascendant. You got the idea, which is going to be the main idea, the leader, the one who has that eye, that single eye. And then you've got the producer. Once you have an idea, you've got to fund it. You've got to produce it. You've got to have enough materials. You've got to have enough things to bring this to life. That's why when the second house right there in any horoscope shows, I mean, people here just want to know about money. So of course we look right there to see how you're going to get funded, how you're going to get, what kind of material you're going to have to build all these awesome ideas you've got. I mean, it's one thing to have all these killer ideas, but if you don't have any way to produce them, then you're you're rich in ideas, but you're poor in manifestation still. So you've got to combine all these realms. You've got to have a producer. You've got to have the original idea. Then you've got to have the players and the actors and the family and the support and the communication, which is going to get into that third house, the Gemini. That's death right there. Think of the oxygen. Think of Mercury sitting at a little table, all things coming into visible nature, and then Mercury, here's your oxygen, and it's handing everybody off. Oh, go have fun with this one, and it's sending it off. Every time everybody gets their little oxygen, they break off into all these little separate things. So it's like this etheric oxygenation point of the zodiac when we get into that mutable air, and which means we've got a change in the air. We've got, and that's going to show mind. That's you're going from the last air was fixed air, so you've got this general ingredient that's pouring out raw, and then you've got mutable water, cardinal fire, fixed earth, mutable air. Boom. So now we've got our first four, and we're ready to start moving it around, start fucking with it. So we're ready to start, seeing what this thing can do. We're starting to build it. We're starting to bring this thing to life. On the birth cycle, you look at plants, they first pop out in the spring, everything's green. You can't see anything's colors yet. This is all produced. This is all production energy. This is all coming from Venus, green, matter, material. Boom, here you go. Here's some sap. Here's some oil. Just go ahead and express yourself. Be what you can be. Third, fourth house come up. Boom, some for the first colors start to come out. First, we see the whites, then the yellows and the purples. And then you start to see who your family is right there. Oh, shit. This thing over there has purple flowers too. I'm related to that thing. This is where you start to figure out that, oh, that's my brother. Oh, that's my sister. And then the fourth house, you get to your family. Okay, this is my environment. This is my home. Now that I know what I'm related to, I can also know what things are around me in my environment. I have these other things over here that have yellow. These yellow things give me this. I don't have yellow things. This is different from me. That's the fourth house right there, where everything joins, everything is in its home, everything is being nurtured, everything knows itself, everything is without action, understanding the self. It's Cancer, the mother. Mars is debilitated. You should be sitting right there and rubbing some oil on your skin or something. Not trying to do plumbing projects, not trying to go fucking fix your car. I mean, obviously, sometimes we got to just fix our car when it breaks, but I mean, you're going to fucking throw your wrench, bang your knuckles, lose a fucking screw, have to go to the store. You're going to get a flat tire going to the store. I mean, then you're going to get a Mercury retrograde on top of it, and you're going to forget to bring your wallet. So then you're going to have to go back home, but you can't go back home because you got a flat tire. So you call the wife up to bring you the tools because your car, last time you used it, you left it in your workshop, and all this shit, and it just kills you. And you're like, what the fuck? Why is this shit slamming me in the face, one thing after the other? And oh, baby, yeah, man. So
Nice. Those are some great
yeah,
rants. Should we do some tarot?
yeah, brother.
You want to draw some
Let's do
cards
it.
and let the people know what to
Yeah,
look out
man. Lead
for?
us off. I'm gonna run in and I'll grab the
Here, give me a
classics
sec. I
here, and
wasn't. I wasn't ready. I'm just.
you're good. You're good. We'll both kind of meander into the readings, and just kind of get some divination, see what the universe wants to tell us right here, because you've really just been looking at your best attempt at a human to drop all their filters and bring it through. And Lord knows I try, but I mean, you can really just take tiny pieces of what I say, validate it against yourself, and you might see some things.
That's how you're
It's
supposed
pretty
to
much
do all the information you get.
correct. Nothing I say is true until you take things into yourself and you weigh them and
Yeah.
then see if it's true for you.
We'll see if you
I
can use it more. It's like
right,
I get a
right,
lot of information I can't use, so I just discard it very quickly, which is why I forget some things. But I figure if it's
right.
important, it'll come back around.
That's true. And a lot of things, a lot of the stuff I say and utter, they're not for holding in your left brain. So you're not meant to just remember these or pull these. I mean, they're meant to be stored in the right, like so you can pull them up. So they're just in there. So you're like, oh yeah. I mean, like it's a seed that pops up. So it's very much a it's you're feeding that intuition. I mean, it's that validation feeling center that you're filling up and that you're just kind of caring for. Um, that's what I shoot for. I mean, you can't remember any of this shit. I don't. That's when I go look at other like stuff I've said in the past or written. It's new to me again because I really wasn't there when I had it come out of me. I was just letting things come through me and trying to be
Yeah.
free. So if you're trying to grab onto the things that are coming out, it's very distracting. So
That's like the
yeah,
best
man.
though when you do forget something and then you get to experience, or well, you get the experience of like you get to hear like a song again, and it's like you forgot about the song, so it's like really invigorating again, and I enjoy
Hmm.
that. I had that happen
Yeah,
recently.
I've had that happen too. I know exactly what you're talking about. It does feel great. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so
Uh,
today I have we're gonna do one of these at least. Excuse me. Let's do one of these, and we'll look at the bottom card as well, because I kind of like the idea of that being like an underlying story or just like a little extra information. So this is we did this before, I think. This is called numerical tarot.
okay.
Uh I think his name's Palm, Guy Palm maybe. Yeah. So it's actually not oh yeah, Guy and Charlene Palm. And this isn't like a base, it's, it's more of a they made it themselves, so it's not exactly tarot, but you can derive
Cool, man.
info.
I like the numbers, man. I mean, the numbers they speak loud to me. So, and I think a lot of people, are a lot of people use like gematria and all the different, you know, numerology formulas out there, and a lot of people see that way. So I think it's good to include, definitely a nice number deck and see kind of what numbers are coming out and what not too, and just the different base symbols. I mean, because numbers are powerful symbols, man.
All right. So, ooh, interesting. All right. Brace yourselves. Hang on, I'll send you a picture, Barry.
All right.
Shoot. Switch, switch, switch. Picture, camera. Dang it. Shoot. Might take a second for it to load on your side.
You're good, buddy. What do we got? What's the card name?
So, the card that popped out is called Productive Construction.
Okay, awesome.
And then the bottom card is Turbulent Insecurity.
Awesome, man. Awesome. That's, we were just talking about the producer.
Yeah.
What did you say? Productive what?
Productive Construction. So it says
Okay, and that's
strength and benevolence, intrepid, engaging.
that's perfect, dude. I mean, that's exactly what we were just talking about with going from where we are right now too. I mean, we're tropically Gemini and we're sidereally Taurus. So that producer, it's showing you building materials. You're getting things that are coming in right now. That's why we're probably all, like you said, you've been meeting a lot of new people. I've been meeting a ton of new people. A lot
Yeah.
of new things have been coming into my life. I'm getting, and it's kind of a little, can be a little overwhelming where you've got, okay, all these projects starting to stack up. I've got all these things that now, I had great ideas and now I'm getting all the materials to do them. And okay, well, now it's time to start prioritizing what you want to actually, produce and construct with what's being produced. So look at what you're being supplied with and then put it to its best use. I mean, that's what this is all about, is taking what you've got, what we've been given, and then just giving it its best run. And it's got a four, so it's the four card. It's a looks like a diamond. And then it's got, so we've pretty much got the four as the force. So that's very much the north position. So it shows the particle at the north with the three movements of the east, the south, and the west. And that's on the news system. The north, east, west, south is spells news. So And that's what they feed us. So I mean, and this is the point of the system where it's the force or the fourth, and you are the force. You are the choice maker. You are the one that takes all of these things and you make a choice with them on what you're going to do. So that's why Mars is exalted in Capricorn. And, I guess traditionally it would be the 10th up high. But at the same time, you flip that around and put it on the fourth down there, and it shows you that Phoenix rising point where all movement stems from, where Mars chooses from. And then typically it probably should be the 10th because Mars is going to choose up there in the mind of the father, which should be getting a small return line from the heart, the gut, and everything up there as the pretty much grand operating center, that grand point. Um, so yeah, man, that's a beautiful card. And then the reverse or the other side, we've got
That's the
difficult,
bottom of the deck.
bottom of the deck, we've got turbulent insecurity. So we've got, ooh, look at this. So division, segregation, which, and we've got, remember I said Gemini handing you oxygen, right? Look at Gemini up there. Here's death. And hey, here we go. Here's some nice bright light and some clouds and some oxygen and some loo. Do you guys want to play? I can get you going on this male female shit right here.
Yep.
I mean, that's what you're seeing right there. You've got the division. So everything's had sex at this point. We've had spring. Everything's been nice and happy. All the new foods are coming out, the berries and seeds. Nature is, that they're done frolicking, and now you're going to see some division. You're going to see, maybe why we got that baby squirrel upon us. It might have got kicked out of the dad might have kicked everybody out of the nest and said, it's fucking nice out now. Get out of here. Go be in nature. You don't need a warm winter home anymore. There's plenty of food out there. So it's time to go be on your own, to go explore the world, go get lost in that sense feeling world so you can see the patterns in it to up your spirit game. I mean, that's all you're really doing. You're taking this realm of pretty much feeling, sense. You're seeing how everything's colored, and you're trying to get to the shades and the forms that make everything the way it's made. And then you're also seeing how it gets colored, and how it gets colored is how everything sees everything. And
Right. Did you see
your
the
exact
part?
body.
You see
Go
where
ahead.
it says essence of empty as blend? That's what it's.
Essence of empty as blend. Yeah, that's awesome, and that's like really how we're here.
Yeah.
Because in order to get, because you're looking at, I mean, emptiness or nothingness is a really neat concept. I mean, philosophically. So you've got to be completely empty is to contain nothing. And to contain nothing is to really contain the all within the one and to not contain the all within the one. It's kind of like this monadic pulsation to not be anything, because to not be anything is to pretty much always be moving. That's how you be nothing. You're in constant movement. So remember that movement, the river never has the same set of elements or particles in it. It's always got a different, it's constantly exchanging, bringing in new things, dropping off new things. It's always in this state of, you can't name it, you can't give it sound, you can't sit here and give it a name because it's always a different thing.
Yep.
Which is every breath of air. We're always a different thing. We're always exchanging cells. This
Yeah.
is a constant ebb and flow, coming and going, and that's part of the marriage here. If you're gonna don this, then you can't just be a receiver. You've got to be a giver as well. An antenna would be a real shitty antenna to just, I mean, only like a one-way street. I mean, what kind of system of communication would that be if you could only receive messages? I mean, that would be horrible. I mean, hey, we need to update this thing. I'm trying to get some messages back to you because what you keep feeding me, we just can't understand that. Can you put it in this flavor maybe so we can start to get some more things out of it? And it's kind of like a honing of yourself to, where you're at constantly, putting things in the language that you can understand in the sound world. We're not always going to be able to do this. We're not always going to have these sounds to learn from this perspective. The world's going to shift. The people are going to shift. We're going to be in different mechanisms of being. You're not, I
Yeah.
mean, things like this, if this was found in some epoch somewhere, it would be hard to understand at first because it would be just so, moved so much from it. And which is a great, wrapping it back up to truth. How do we get to truth? How do we get to permanence? How do we get to things that don't change, that you can name forever? Like when you give something a name, you're giving something through all times, past, future, nows, you're naming it. So your 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 pot your you can't name something if it's just gonna change. Like you, I mean, it's I don't know. It's just not proper. It's just not how the naming of something works.
Yeah, but isn't it more like that? Because like that's the how and why. That's why you're here. Or at least that's my assumption. Like, you're here to decide those things. So, if we're all
That's
here and we're
true.
not working together, like what a single human, what is that? You know what I mean? Like if you think of
Right.
just yourself, like in the like what that's nothing. So obviously we're here to work together with
And
whatever
it's a
is
blend.
living. Yeah.
A blending, a nothingness blend of male and female. So I mean, it seems that way. It shows you that, look at the division in between the male and the female, and
Right.
that's the center you're supposed to find, right? The nothingness center. If you're caught up on the left and the right on either one of those forms of shade, because you can see the black, the particle, the thing that's colored in, black absorbs all light. So all those black things in that picture are what's absorbing all the white things, the money, the division, the separation. If you're absorbing all that, that's what you're going to have as your particle in your center. But if you don't take any of that and you just sit at that central point that's emanating everything, then you have every form option available. You can take any form, you can take any shade, you can color it in any way. And I mean, that's look at that. That's the tree roots and that's the tree leaves. That's
Hmm.
the earth, and that, I mean, that's showing you the cosmic, electromagnetic. I'm trying to think of the Thunderbolt projects. Those objects with the
Oh, the
sword,
squids.
the thing they hold. Yeah, the thing they hold in the left hand with they grip
Oh,
it in the center on the ball, and then it's got 2 points, two
oh,
tripods coming off each side of points, and
yeah.
that's the tree roots and the tree branches.
That thing's
And
cool. I want to get one.
me too. I've saw some online that are probably illegal. I'm a little worried to buy them and shit because it looks like they were stolen out of like Tibetan temples and shit. They're all pure
You gotta
crystalline with
get it.
jewels in them, and
Well, now that you're gonna
I
be
don't
a
know.
high roller, you need to get
Right? I'm
it.
gonna save all these esoteric objects of time, and we're gonna open a museum so people can come and experience these objects. And yeah, absolutely, man. Because really, if you put a tool in something's hand, it depends on what you built. If you build it, they will come. And what have you built inside is your cup of light. Like what can you hold? What are you able to carry?
Hey, have you ever seen a
And
4-1? I have a 4-1. I have a picture of one.
no,
I
I
have
don't
it.
think
Yeah,
so.
I just posted in the chat. The 4-1.
Okay, let's see. Oh wow. Wow, that's cool. Which makes me think of the six one. Because the real six is what we were talking about earlier. That's the north, south, east, west. And then you've got, yep, I was just looking at some of those this morning too. You add two more to that four image, one front and back. And then
Oh
you've
wow.
got the complete um three-dimensional object of the one, two, three, four, five, six spheres. Yeah, that's very Jupiter right there. Jupiter as the sixth orb. You've got, and that's probably Jupiter symbolically of, and this one right here could be us as the four, as Earth. And then Jupiter would be the addition of those two, of the two I was talking about. So you're looking at Earth in the picture, which is probably why you get all the snake eating its tails and the four circles right there, the dragons eating themselves, kind of
Yeah.
marrying those four particles in the north, south, east, west. Excuse me. And then you've got Jupiter is the one that got away. So if you think of the one who got away, add those two more, and then you actually have movement forward and back. You have real movement. So you've got the not standing still anymore. So when you're standing still, you've only got you can only look. You're the Lucan. You're looking around. You're the child, the kin of the luminaries, the sun and the moon. So you're just looking. You haven't moved yet. We talked about moving, I think, on the last show. Like you can run in place, and then you can move forward. You can take that same muscle action, the same thinking. You can take all those same things, and now you're going to add movement to running in place. And there's a little shift in your body, and all you need to do is just lean forward a little bit, and you start moving forward. So it comes down to the lean. It comes down to leaning on that father, leaning on, and that's where that tilt comes in from the fall. that 23.4 or the 23.5 degree tilt from the true north, the new magnetic north, that is real movement. That's when we took it out of easy mode and we put it into, now you have to actually really dig deep to find yourself now, because everything's moving around and you have to peer through all the movement and color in order to find the original position and what you are that started moving in the first place. So they took away that front and back of Jupiter, and they've taken Jupiter, they've hung it upside down, and they've tried to get you to just hang out in an upside down mind, not grounding into your feet, which is the real head, which is connected to the membrane of the system. So, yeah, man,
Nice.
once you're connected to that membrane, you can start to really move. You can start to get that intuitive feed. You can start to move in the correct direction, the true guiding gut mind direction of Jupiter right there, which is why we have Cancer ruling the stomach, ruling the all those organs right there. I mean, that whole area of the body is the moon. You've got the hard metal spine that everything reflects off of, that receives its light from the crystalline Golgotha brain skull, and then it translates down onto the spine and it reflects out into the water system of all the fluidic organs and everything in the stomach and all those areas right there in the chest. Right there is the crescent moon. It's reflecting. So I mean, it shows you the color, the symbol of the crescent moon shows you something pretty much rising, setting, and doing movement. The eclipse, that shows stillness. The eclipses, the eclipse cycles of this realm show you where the stillness is. It shows you where the exact positions of non-movement are. Because light can't go through itself. So when you see a black line on the ground, when all the luminaries are blocked, it's showing you where the shadow's forming, and it points to the object that's standing still. So it's very much we're this isn't going to be easy anymore. To get to yourself now, we've gone into you've got to do some serious work. You've really got to be able to go through the dark to get to yourself. You've got to get through all the things that go bump in the night to find yourself. You've got to get through that fear. You've got to get through all the color that, to see the shade. And then once you start to have control of the shade kingdoms, you got to tame that darkness. And once you've got the darkness tamed, then it works for you. You can use it in whatever you need. You can bring any form here. You can don any form. You really can. You can
Yeah.
turn into fucking anything. You can instantly dragon. Boom. I
Yeah.
mean, it's your light. Light has no limits. You
Yep.
can anything. All it takes is an internal knowing and an internal intention and an internal belief, and you are the spark, the belief, the intent, the internal fire, that Mars in the fourth and that Capricorn position, from nothing to something, the true miracle. You go from having nothing, having death, to having something, and that in itself is a miracle. How do you go from nothing to something? How do you get something out of nothing? It looks like we've got thin is probably going to be the answer, something out of nothing. So the only common thing in both of those sounds is thin. And there's a thin line that's the thinnest and the tallest, and it's the most invisible thing to us. It's the highest frequency. It's the most center of that 90-degree angle and that 180-degree angle. It's Saturn, it's Mars. Those are the two thin threads of the spider. So when we look up and we see those black lines crisscrossing, all the ones that go latitude are Saturns. Those are all 180s. All the 90-degree chops that give you longitude, that give you movement, are Mars. That's why Mars rules action and movement and muscle. And that's why Saturn rules matter, direction. You're in his ringland. You're on his matter system. Everything that you see here, you're using his shit. And you're going to have to drop that off with Saturn when you leave this realm. That's why Saturn is the lord of this realm. All of the systems interior to Saturn are Saturn's innards. So if you want to take, which the lord of this realm is the seventh, which is the point above the six. So it's taking what's lost in the six, which is a sine wave, because anything off in the six is just the 33, which is the movement, right? So we've got movement in the wrong direction. You've got movement, you're just looking around in a circle. You didn't actually move anywhere yet. You just thought you were moving by spinning around, chasing your tail. That's all you were doing. You were just merry-go-round, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. That's all we're doing. We're just staying right in the center. And now we're going to have real movement coming up. There's going to be this event that happens. It's going to happen. It's going to take everything that you've been building that you think has been movement, and it's going to give it real movement. And that's when the whole second coming of Christ story, which is this Christall ball, it's this crystal clear ball that all of a sudden it's the second time that it's going to make its appearance in this realm. The first time was erased and everything was taken out. All the three wise men know the exact location for a particular reason, because it's the Trinity pointing to the movement of the Force. And it's the three and the four, which is a seven, and in itself, the three plus the four. You've got, I mean, pretty much it's in verse 43, which is the invisible element that you can't see here that's stable. So you've got something in this realm that's stable that you can't see. Element 43 and element 61, promethium and technium. You can't see those, but they're stable. That's showing you something, that something's here that you just can't see. It's invisible matter, but it's not visible to you. So it's stabilized here, and it's hard. Like, you can go touch it, you can feel it, but you won't be able to see it. Like,
Hmm.
that's odd.
Yeah.
That's something that we're not being told about yet. We
Maybe that's
are,
the ceiling.
yeah, probably. I mean, it's something, man. But
Nice.
all right, on my side, I've got. Let me see here. I'm gonna pull. I've got the Illuminati card pulled, and now I drew self-esteem on that card. So it's
Hmm.
a picture of a black man, a white woman, blonde hair, black man, black hair. They're both holding trophies, and they're very happy. They're smiling. They're in joy, and then it says this card may be played at any time and counts as the action for the group it affects. The increased power takes effect immediately. The power for one liberal group is increased to 6, and no player may have more than one self-esteem card in play. So this is showing me right here on the self-esteem side. This is the Illuminati card deck, by the way, folks. So what are they doing right now? They're dropping all the rules. People are feeling better, right? We don't have to wear all these masks anymore. They're allowing us, they're telling us it's okay to be free now, so we can all go be free again. So we're all
Yay.
going to gain our, everyone's going to have their feel good starting to come back online, because
Yep.
they can go sit down at Chili's and fucking order their food and gossip about Sally, while they're watching these two people do crazy shit over here at this other. I mean, people love gossip, chaos, and all the lower things. So
Yeah.
Gemini's here, baby. They're releasing us off into a fucking trap. They're going to give us enough. Mercury's about to go retrograde coming up in
Yep.
his day house. I mean, this thing's going to be a powerful, right? This is going to just freaking, this is going to go nuts on people. People are going to get lost in pride and ego. I mean, it's going to be,
It's gonna
I
be
mean, and
great.
that's what this time of year is supposed to be. You're supposed to, it's the rising of the north, it's the building of the sense. You're taking all these things that have been stewing up in you, and they're going to come out, they're going to manifest. You're going to feel them, you're going to see them, you're going to taste them, touch them. They're going to be in the senses. And Jupiter's going to help out with that. It's going to expand it all. That's when Jupiter exalts up here in Cancer right now. You're going to lose, Saturn debilitates. So you're not going to keep any of this shit, because Saturn's debilitated. So it's showing you that none of this, you're not, all this experience coming up right now, don't look at it as permanence. Don't take it as something that you're trying to keep and pack in. Just be in the now, be in the creative flow, and let that just enjoy, enjoy the journey. And that's what you'll take with you, is the journey itself, the sense, just let it infiltrate you. It's not a bad thing. I mean, it's the most powerful, most heightened technology that we really have access to as this light beings that we are. I mean, to be able to go into a simplified symbolic system to study the self and to not cause any real damage is a fucking blessing. I mean, to be able to come here and to hone your seed before you fucking plant it. Like, I mean, we don't want shit with thorns popping up everywhere. So when we walk through the cosmic forest, we're all getting fucking scratches and shit all over ourselves. You want some nice flowers to smell. You want some beautiful things to, experience and whatnot. You want some Venus and Jupiter, and you got to have some thorns too. without thorns, you wouldn't get any roses, right? I mean, you wouldn't see the very heights, and think of the exaltations of Mars and the exaltations of Saturn. Think of duty and judgment. Think of pretty much correct intuitive movement, and think of the compassionate action of Mars, that the gift of life that he gives when he's dies on the cross and is born again every December fucking 21st through 25th, hides on it for 3 days on the cross, and then the light starts to grow more. That's all a gift from Mars. Like, this is, I mean, everything in this entire system, it's all an exchange. We have all of these offerings that come into us, and we want to get caught up in the bullshit festivities that they bring down to a surface fake level, and there's no depth to it. You don't see people out there with, I mean, you see the red and the green, but people don't understand that the red is for Mars and the green is for what's coming, that this light is going to bring. It's going to bring the gift of spring. We got spring in front of us. Things are going to grow. We got a new harvest coming. Fuckers are going to get food. I mean, this place is, I mean, it's like you've got hope coming. I mean, Mars is here. The fucking hero, the knight in the shining armor, is here. There's no more death. We're done with that slowing down bullshit where we're gonna just keep our light inside to ourselves and sit in the dark and do our own little internal battles right there, because we've gone through Scorpio in our battles. We've thrown that shit into the mutable fire in Sagittarius, and we shot that arrow into the target, and boom, that sacrum, that upside down arrow hit the earth, hit the dirt of the soul. And here we are, mutable fire. We're taking the mutable fire, we're taking all that way that light absorbs into matter, and now we're going to unpack it. We're going to unpack that light so it can come out now. We're going to unfold all those beautiful light codes from inside of us, and they're going to just flow out into these beautiful sine waves, and that's truly what we're trying to do. And there's sharp, very dense ones that absorb. Think of a Debbie Downer, think of a victim, think of a victimhood mentality, somebody that, woe is me, this happened, that happened, it's their fault, that fault. I mean, fuck that shit. That is a straight energy
Yeah.
sinkhole right there that is
Waste of
just
time.
eating life. They are stuck in that black. They have no white. They don't have that ability to really move, really express. They haven't formed a form or a shade yet. Their
Yeah.
inside is all chaosy, and there's no rigidness inside. There's no barriers set up. You've got to go in the dark, and you've got to set up your fucking boundaries in there. You
And they
just
gotta look at
can't play with shit. I
my
mean, there's,
book, right? That's what that
yeah,
book's about,
yeah.
man. That book's about restoring, fixing your imagination, really. You
It
know,
really is. I
turn your
mean,
light
all
on.
your dark work, your shadow work is very, very important. And if you are just trying to be angelic light being light worker here, and you're not gonna fuck with any of the dark, scary shit and go talk to any skeletons in your closet, then you're not gonna have any kind of interior bone system for anything actually to matter on.
Right.
So if you want that black sulfuric gas to hold something, you've got to keep it still. You've got to say, nope, you know what? We're not going to go look at pornography right now and go play with lust. You know what? I'm probably good at getting drunk tonight. I've been drunk the last 5 nights. I'm going to just see
Right.
what happens tonight without getting drunk. You've got to have some kind of thing in you that takes all that dark energy that's coming at you constantly, and that just wants to feed you and eat your light that you've stored, that you've worked hard for, that you've pretty much stored internally, and now you just want to fucking piss it and give it away and spill it everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't, it's not efficient. Keep some for yourself, have a constant supply in there, always ready to give, and get your cup to an overflow point where it just fucking spills out. And then the dark shit that comes at you, it can't even get close to you, because now your light's so fucking bright that it's sitting way off on the perimeter. Like, dude, how are we going to get to that bright ass thing in there? It's so bright. I can only sit out here on the very perimeter, and I can't even get close enough to take a bite because I'm fucking dead out here on the perimeter because it's so fucking bright. And that's what you do inside with your crystal, with your clearness. You take a spot, you fucking get rid of all the shit. You get right down to the clear shit. No black, no white, no color, no up, no down, no left, no right, no anything in everything, all in a single point, and that's where you start. And that point right there is everything and nothing all in one, and that is clearness and opaqueness all in one. You can see through it and you can't see through it. It's both sitting there. It's something we can't even comprehend because it's the whole entire everything that we do comprehend folded down into an uncomprehendable point that it all unfolded from. So you can't know it. You can't sit here and say, hey, guess what? I'm going to linearly conceptualize and know this. It's just not going to happen. If you do come up with anything, it's going to be your own perception on something that you found that is maybe some temporary truth for you until you find something even better that's going to get unfolded from within that same point later on. So it's like a constant fool state. You need to stay in the fool. You need to always be the student here. Never be humble thinking you're a king. It's just you don't want to be the king of shit mountain. You don't want to be the king turd down here. I mean, Sturgill Simpson sings about it. If you want it, you can have the crown. I mean, yeah, man. I'm going to post a picture up. Wow. So I just pulled another card. I just shut up and pulled it. It came out the Empress, the number 3 card. I pulled that for
Mm.
Josh a while back. So that's pretty nuts. I'm going to snap a quick picture of these two. We'll get them up. And boom. Okay. It'll be on there in a sec. All right. So, folks, Venus, huge. This time of year, your production, your producer, that's Venus. You can thank her ass for that and his ass because Venus isn't just female, Venus is male too. All of the bodies have a positive and a negative aspect to them. When we call Venus female, we call the side that's coming to us her female aspect. When we talk to Venus, that is a positive aspect. If you don't send shit back up the shit she's giving you. That's fucking so rude to give things back to them. Now, I don't need this, Venus. Here you go. You don't go up the same stream. I mean, the salmon does, and cosmically, we are going to do this, and this is going to be the end goal. But here in this system, we want to take our gifts, we want to take the production, we want to take the things streaming in from Venus in her day house, in her day rulership, which is where we're at right now. We're going to be right in the heart of her. We're just barely into sidereal Taurus right now. We are on let me pull it up real quick. Okay, the sun is 8 degrees Taurus today. The moon is 29 degrees Virgo. So we've got a lot of earth happening right now. The moon's about to get into the air, into Libra. The ascendant right now is sitting on Cancer, 26 degrees, which just shows you where the ascendant is this time of day. It shows you that 1220 is rising on May 24th. And that's what the ascendant is. The ascendant is in that position, late 4th house, almost up to the 5th house at this point, that's directly overhead. That's why the ascendant is always overhead. Let me see here. So we've got Venus with both the sun and the moon. The moon's been in Virgo, very critical nature, very organizing, cleaning shit right now. You've probably spent a couple days having energy flow through you right now while Mercury is still going direct. You've probably been communicating with a shit ton of people.
Yeah.
Your personality is pinging and building off it, and theirs is too. This is a very big moon vertical, but you got to be careful. You could be critical of other people right now too in those communications, especially once the retrograde comes up right now. Just make sure you're staying balanced. But that Venus Empress card, the number 3 card, I mean, it's just showing you. That's why the 3rd sign, Gemini, right there after Aries, that's tropical Gemini, but that's going to sidereally be Taurus. So you've got that 23 connection, the connection between the 2 and the 3 and the 3 and the 2. That's all. Nothing's moved yet. You're frozen. You're 32. You're 23. It's a mirror of frozenness. The 32 hasn't moved. You haven't added fire to the ice yet. It's still a cube. So it's why in Course in Masonry, the 33, they don't talk about them. You don't know about the 33rd because you don't see the movement because they keep you stuck in the frozen matter. They keep you, which is great, the things that are sitting still. You don't want to be in the movement section coming up and be doing the fucking wrong thing because you're going to go right back to your chair. It's musical chairs. You don't get up out of the musical chairs until pretty much you lost or you win the game. So as you're going in musical chairs, the losers get up first, and then at the end, the winner has sitting in a chair, and he gets to get up and move as the one. WONONE. I mean, those are the one who gets to move. So if the one who got up out of the chair, the one that's moving around, the elite, whoever the fuck's doing all this dumb shit right now, which is really a beautiful, benign creature working us to better ourselves so that we can learn through opposition, that I wouldn't want to be those souls. I don't think I'd want to be the ones without compassion right now that are trying to hoard everything into, that look at their brother and their sister in light, and they're not helping themselves, and they don't understand what this other thing is, that it's another version of themselves from this different perspective, and they lack all that. So they get scared and they run internally in fear, and they run into survival mode, and oh, I've got to get all this gold, silver, all these stocks. The market's going crazy. Food's going crazy. I'll tell you what's happening coming up. We're going to have a big fucking party, and we're all going to have so much food that it's probably going to be a straight 6-month festival of just jubilee, getting rid of all the fucking bad shit that we've had. We're going to fucking probably a reincarnation of the 60s again. It's gotten so bad that it's just going to tip off into fucking beautiful happiness, and fuck it. Like,
Yeah.
how bad can you really just hold a people down until they're just smiling and they're like, dude, you can't take anything else. You already just, all these things we call our little freedoms. I mean, you've told us what we can and can't do now, and this is what you're going to allow. And you know what? I'm still happy. I'm still sitting here smiling at this bird, eating on this bird feeder, watching this fucking eagle fly through the sky, watching the leaves sway in the wind. And you can't touch a fucking aspect of that, because that's all eternal. None of that's all from pops right there and mom having sex and blowing their shit all over the place in here. That's what's going on. You're looking at a bunch of abortions. You're looking at a bunch of spilling of the seed all around you. That's what all this is. And we don't waste the seed. We don't fucking look at the animal kingdom. None of them fucking drop seed anywhere. They don't drop urine. I mean, well, I guess the dogs go out and take a piss and shit, but
Yeah.
there's something that happens as soon as my dogs come back in. I got 3 male dogs. They all try to lick each other's shit. It's like a game. I don't
Gross.
understand it. I yell at them, say, hey, this, fucking, it's not a buffet. It's pretty much what I say. And but
Dogs are kind of
nowadays,
stupid
like
sometimes.
I've seen it so much at this point where I can see what's going on. I mean, I'm not into drinking your piss and shit, like, at least yet, because I haven't done enough research on it. But I mean, a little side note there, I piss on the same spot of grass every day, and the grass is dead as fuck.
Yeah.
So it kind of scares me to put that into my system all the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, but there's a purpose to it. So I guess I remember I was talking with Josh, showed me some awesome shit on it, about the urine, how you can pull the phosphorus from it. You can end up with pretty much a metallic or a mineralized state of phosphorus from your just boiling down
Wow.
piss, and pretty much playing with the properties of it. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to pull that up on a later one, or have
Yeah.
Josh on to explain it. But it was nuts when I was reading through that. It's pretty awesome. But the
Yeah.
bottom line is, it's all a playground, folks. I mean, if you get caught up in any kind of judgment, if you close your box down anywhere, I mean, if you shut it down, you're stopping a possibility from showing you something. If you're listening to what the creator told you a long time ago, and you're not listening to what's being spoken now, you're not staying in that constant growth aspect where you're always open. You always have to hold open in you that anything that you think is wrong. That always has to be something that you have open in you that can be a possibility. All my hardest truths that I have right at the center of my web of beliefs, those are all mutable. Those can all change in the blink of an eye through one tiny thing that comes across my path. And that's powerful to be able to keep that open. You don't think of how locked down people get on the surface and in their little side points. I mean, people get caught up, they throw that religion as the center, and now they're stuck in this literal trap of of pretty much a literal interpretation of the Bible manifesting. And they've got this real rigid center that they don't have any wiggle room with. They've built that, hardened that metallic pole right there so hard that it reflects a certain image each time. Do you want liquid gold in there? You want like this mutable shit that can just kind of move around and just give you anything that reflects. It doesn't hold anything for itself. Gold sends everything back. Thank you for all this shit you sent me. Here you go. I don't need any of this. My job is to give. And without that, giver is the most powerful position, because you can't be a giver without having something to give. Why the hell would the creator send a giver down if it didn't have anything to give? You'd be the world's worst giver. So, I mean, that's the secret. Be a servant. Go help, do anything you can do, because when you leave here, there's help is a rare thing, because responsibility is out there. Everything is responsible and efficient, and you don't need help when you're doing, the way you're supposed to be operating, and it's a self-knowledge system. So we don't have self-knowledge here, so that's why help and service, these are like the most rare things in the cosmos. I mean, there's not a lot of unknowing out there where you've got a 50-50 split on mass consciousness and all these things are confused. I mean, this is a real, I mean, this is a rich playground of real wealth. I mean, to be a helper and a giver, I mean, that's a huge thing. I mean, that's you are a manifesting producer. So all you need to do is pretty much, the idea. That's that first step right there, and then you've got the production step. So that's the giver. That's the one taking care of everything. That's the duty, right? Saturn has a duty to provide for everything in this realm. If Saturn did not do that, Saturn would not be a giver of his realm. And life is for giving. Life is not for taking. So it's very much the gift of life, right? It's not the taking of life. I mean, and that's the way they've tried to kind of revert all this back on itself, and they try to take the particle and they strip it with the sine wave, instead of the particle eating the sine wave and burying it and becoming more of a particle. That's why my handle is what it is, bury sine waves. I mean, it's that play on it. You want to bury them down, and you want to be naked. Bare bare energy, just raw stuff to go from in there. You don't need to put your flavors on it yet. You just need a stockpile of something to work with. I mean, that those should be your first goals, is to just have something to even hold on to, not flavor any of it, just have a reservoir of it, and don't give it a label yet. And then you can start to give it an avenue. Okay, we're going to put some of it here. Okay, hey, this needs a little bit of it. And then boom, it starts to get spread out. And then once you start doing that giving process, you gain flow. You get that, because if you send something out, then something comes in to replace it. It's like a vacuum, a light vacuum. So the more that you're giving out, the more light you constantly have flowing in. And you're not doing this just to like be rich on light. You're doing this just to stay in that perfectly spiritual health point of not being overcharged in the center. You don't want to have teeth that fucking hurt. You don't want to have a organ that's failing. I mean, that's not fun here. Nobody wants to come into these realms and learn and go through those things. I mean, and a lot of us are. A lot of us have health issues. I mean, even if you're super healthy, chances are, I mean, they've got you caught up somewhere here. I mean, I'm back on cigars again, fucking flavored cigars, and I shouldn't be. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, I smile at it, I mean, we all have our shit. So it's kind of like,
Sorry to
just
treat
do
yourself
what you
once in a
can
while.
do.
It's all about balance, man,
Right.
you
But I
know?
mean, I'm treating myself like 5 cigars a day
Oh,
now. So, I mean,
shit.
I'm just back on it.
Damn,
Oh,
bro.
yeah, yeah. I love them. So, I mean, and they love me. So, if
Yeah.
anything's going to take my particle down, I'm down with hanging out with cigars in karmic world. I mean, what do you want to do?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
could be
let's go make
worse.
some smoke,
Yeah.
right? I mean, fuck.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're not eating children. I mean, that's fine.
I was just going to say, you're not eating, raping little children. I mean, it probably ain't going to be the worst place to hang out coming up.
Yeah, or just being an
I mean,
asshole in general. I mean, yeah.
right, right, which I might have a little bit to talk to on those realms, and I'm gonna have to do a lot of work on the asshole realm for sure. But I'll get there, man. I'll take all the assholes in the asshole realm, and we'll have a big fucking party and figure it out, and we'll not be assholes anymore, and then we'll stop shitting stuff out everywhere.
Yeah.
But ass gives. Honestly, I mean, things come out of the ass. So here, everything grows in shit, right? So, I mean, if you're not getting shit on, you really literally have nothing to grow anything with. And if your shit doesn't stink, you're probably not going to be able to grow too much inside. So make sure your farts smell good, folks.
Yeah.
Sulfur.
Check your fart
Uh,
smells.
yeah, man, that's it. That's a take-home message today. Make sure they're reeking real good. I'm on week 7 and not smelling still, so I don't
Hey,
know. I'm having fun with long Corona here. I guess whatever the fuck they want to label it. I can't. I'm getting a little bit of maybe taste back, but
dude,
it's
it's not
pretty.
it's not that. It's the it's the spores in the air, man. It's crazy right now. Like every morning I go out and my car is literally dusted in spores,
Yeah,
pollen. That's probably
it
what
is.
it is, honestly, dude.
That's a
It's
good call,
I've
man.
never seen it like this. Like I literally have to turn the windshield wipers on and it's like lines of the stuff, like thick lines. Crazy.
That's yeah. I'm seeing it too. I'm looking at my car. I got a yellow hue all over it. It's definitely that's what it is. Yep.
It's really thick. I've never, like I say, I've been in this spot for a long time and I've never seen it like this. It's crazy. I think that's a good
Allergies are
thing.
rough too. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's well, it's semen. It's literally seed everywhere. It's like you're covered in this in sexual fluid. That's pretty much what's the. I mean, that's what the
Yeah.
trees are doing. I mean,
Plants.
they're literally that's how they ejaculate their seed in the
Yeah.
air. So I mean, it's part of nature. Like
Porn.
it's, and that's the thing. People want to say it's so taboo. You talk about a penis, and I mean, come
Yeah.
on, man. I
I
mean,
don't know.
everything here
Yeah.
it's all fair game. I mean, there's things I don't fucking play with for sure that, and I don't choose to participate in. Um I'm I'm a lover of children, so anything involving taking care or taking advantage of children would be a horrible thing in my book and I would
Yeah.
never align myself on that access. So that's just one example of things I don't play with here. But I mean, because that's really what it's fucking all about is our children. So if you're gonna
Yeah, you're
do
passing on your
anything to the
legacy.
children, right? I mean, what a horrible. Yeah, man. We don't need to get into that. End it on a
Yeah.
good note.
Yeah, no.
But
I think people get it.
but right, they do, man. And I know the people we got tuning in. They're all awesome people. I mean, you wouldn't listen into this shit. You wouldn't be able to handle it coming at you if you were a horrible soul in the first place. You'd have to shut it down and be like, holy fuck. I'm gonna be thinking about that tonight when I go to sleep. I better not listen to this shit anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have a decent soul in there, I mean, all the stuff that, I say it should just reflect nice and cleanly in there and validate a skeleton with not too many, or a closet with not too many skeletons and fairly free of fear. There shouldn't be too much in there that should scare you or get you riled up or get you triggered anymore. It should be very much an acceptance, a fluidic response to things like, oh, you're mad. What are you mad about? Okay. Yeah, I could see that how might upset you, but don't get caught up in their madness, right? I mean, that's that's those are the traps. They want to invite you into these emotional fire circles, and you can go playing them for a little bit, but I mean, you can really get caught up in a snowball rolling downhill in those. So just be careful, stay centered, just stay calm. I mean, calm has lamb in it, right? LAM, it's the Lamb of God, that fucking white sacrifice up on the altar, this calmness. We're going to put this bad boy right here and we're going to kill it so it stays right there. We're going to just stay calm. And
Chill.
that's what you do. A nice calm mind, Aries, the brain, that mental calmness. If you get caught up and that mind starts eating that emotional fire, you can guarantee the mind's a tool. So you just used it to make this situation over here a lot more fun. So I mean, it's all there, folks. That was a good episode 10, Todd. Man, that was fun.
Yeah, great work. Um,
Yeah, brother.
yeah, I mean, I guess that's it, right? I don't know. I don't got much more to say.
More man, I better not say much more. Um,
Yeah, let's wrap it
yeah.
up then.
Well, episode 11 next week.
Sure.
I got this week off from I guess work, so it'd be nice to just kind of catch up on shit. I'm having to work with maybe finding a different house situation right now, so still got all that energy. That should be fun.
Hey,
And other than that, everybody have a great week, and tune in next week, episode 11. Should be pretty good. I mean, we had a good one this week with number 10. Um,
they're all
Perfection,
good.
baby. That's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
awesome. All right, Barry. Well, thanks again. Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. Um, we got quite a few viewers. Today, awesome. We'll see you guys next week. Take care, I guess.
Awesome. Much love, everybody.